bench. Hendrick and Shaw in midfield, and then we've got a three just behind Wilson of St. Maximum left, Almiron through the middle, and Murphy on the right. So, we were on here the last while saying we want to change. He's pretty much changed everyone, probably barring Wilson. Fraser at right back, I don't get at all. Murphy, I don't think was in any of our shouts yesterday when we were talking on the international show, so that's a surprise for me. On a positive, I suppose, would have preferred to see Fraser further up, but I think having, Murphy needs to take his chance, but I think it's nice to see that he's, we're starting with St. Maximum, Almiron and Fraser's in the team, probably just not really where I would have liked him. So, yeah, pull the bones out of that one, lads. Hard to know. Be interesting to see how we do actually run out and set up on the pitch, but according to live score, it's a 4-2-3-1.
Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. There was a slight technical problem at the start, so the stream didn't go live, but we're there now, and everybody's watching. There's your lineup for those who missed that, and it's Darlow, Shaw, Lascelles, St. Maximin, Callum Wilson, Jamal Lewis, Jeff Hendrick, Fernandez, Ryan Fraser, Jacob Murphy, Miguel Almiron, Gillespie, Carroll, Joe Linton, Hayden Kraft, Manquillo, and Sean Langstaff on the bench. Wolves team is as you were, with Neves the only change in the Wolves lineup from their game on Monday. So, yes, over to you, Spenny. What do you make of Newcastle United's lineup today?
I think I'm about as close that lineup as he is. Picking it. Simple as that. You know what I mean? I think he might be playing 3 at the back. Looking at that, he can play 3-5-2.
Yeah, I mean it is a strange lineup. I mean, Shelvey, a lot of column inches dedicated to Shelvey today. A lot of people saying that he's been carrying an injury for a while. The rumor that's doing the rounds at the minute that he's not mentally right for today's game. I'm not sure what on earth that means, but that's one of the rumors that's flying around. Hendrick, of course, getting a bit of stick off a lot of Newcastle fans online. Would you like to see Hendrick in his preferred position today, Spenny?
I would Hendrick in the middle. It's not his fault he's getting played out of position, is it? He's playing violent in the middle, and he's playing brilliant. And Fraser's playing well for Scotland. And then he's put him right back. Oh yeah, man. Get the neck.
I mean, that's the strange thing, Spenny, isn't it? If he is playing Fraser at right back, he's got people who are more than capable, i.e. Kraft and Manquillo, although I would say Manquillo's probably more capable of playing in that position than he is.
Hey, it looks more defensive on the bench than it does on the lineup, doesn't it? Looking at that.
Yeah, it's strange, very strange. Chris, apologies for having you behind the logo, Chris. But there you are. You've managed to move your furniture and move your bed to get on the other side of it. So I'm now going to move the logo. No, joking aside. What do you make of it? What do you make of the team?
So we've been calling for Almiron and Fraser to get in the lineup, but this looks like a dog's breakfast of a lineup. I can't quite tell. I can't quite tell what the formation is. They talk about Steve Bruce not knowing tactics. I didn't know that would begin sort of with like setting up the 11. So I don't know. I mean, we've been I want a more attacking lineup, and certainly Fraser and Almiron will give the Wolves a run out. But I don't know. I mean, this is as the buzzword is a work in progress. That's what I'll say.
Work in progress. It's a dreaded phrase. That Pete. Afternoon, mate. What's your take on the lineup?
I have no idea what to think. I'm absolutely baffled. I'm baffled that we've got 2 right back on the bench and no right back in the starting 11. That says to me that the strange or surprise involvement of Murphy says to me that he's either playing right back or right wing back. I know on some of the online on the apps and stuff it has Fraser at right back. But for me, that's the noticeable change. I would be shocked if they played Ryan Fraser at right back. So that then says to me that there's 3 centre backs, and they're probably playing Lewis and Murphy wing backs, with Fraser and Almir on third forward. At least there's one argument that we can cancel out, in that we know where Hendrick's playing today, because there's literally nowhere else he can play. So he's going to be in the middle. It wouldn't surprise me if Almir plays slightly deeper in order to support him. And then we get Ryan Fraser further forward. Look, we need Ryan Fraser further forward in the pitch, because we know he can work together with Wilson and provide assist for him. So we need him up the pitch. We don't need him right back. I'd rather Manquillo, whether he's fit or half fit, playing ahead of him. We need Ryan Fraser forward. So you know, until they line up at on the pitch to start the game, it could be anyone playing anywhere.
Yeah, okay, good point. Chris, I saw you nodding away with Pete there. You agree with him?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Daz is going to be made up now. I think it's 5 at the back, 1,000,000%. I think Pete's right. Jacob Murphy's playing right wing back. I just keep looking at this live score one, and I think Jacob Murphy's right wing back, Jamal Lewis left wing back. I think Shah's going to tuck in the middle, possibly on the right of the 3. I think Lascelles will go in the middle. Hendrick's definitely in centre mid, no doubt about that. So I don't know. I can't wait to see how he sets it up. But yeah, I think it's definitely 5.
I think Laura's probably got it about right. You know, it's what just going around the board here. I think most of you have said that that's a possibility. I think with Bruce, we always tend to look on the worst case scenario, because I don't think we've ever guessed the formation correctly since we started doing one of these. But 3 at the back, Lewis and Murphy wing backs, Fraser and Hendrick in the middle, with Miggy just in front, ASM just off Wilson. It is what most of us have been asking for, Chris.
Yeah, no, exactly. And do you know what? If she's right and Fraser is in the middle, I'd be really interested to see that, because he's got legs, hasn't he? So, you know, and with Shelby not being in there, it will be interesting to see Hendrick and Fraser in the middle if that's the case. Because so many times we just get overrun in midfield, don't we? So, you know, and obviously Hayden being, you know, put on the bench is interesting. So yeah, I'm going to be having a close eye on Hendrick today in the middle in his preferred position. So benefit the doubt given to Hendrick today. But yeah, do you know what? I'm not as pessimistic as I normally am when I think it's 5 at the back. This does feel quite attacking today. So let's see.
Game 9 for Joe Linton for my promise that I would leave him alone until he played 10 games, and he's on the bench, so tending to hide from me at the minute, Joe Linton. So we'll see what happens if he comes on and makes any kind of contribution to the game. Daz, your take, please, on today's starting lineup.
Yeah, I was just chatting to a guy on Twitter just as the team came out, and we put in a request to try and delay the game so we could decipher this. So yeah, so my take on it, and I'm not completely happy, Chris. But yeah, no, I look at it as I deciphered it as a 3-4-3. But we'll see. Like we have 3 right backs, and none of them are playing. So it should be interesting. And just going back to what Chris said, yeah, in my 3-4-3 version, I would have gone a bit more defensive, but it shall be fun today. Hopefully there'll be goals anyway, but hopefully they're for us.
Steve Bruce is on TV. I'm sure one of our panel will be listening to what Steve's saying. So I'll come to whoever. Yeah, Martin, I'll come to you after I've spoken to Nathan, just so you can give us the pills of wisdom that the gaffer is coming out with. Nathan, over to you on that. Yeah, good to see you, mate. Over to you for the lineup. What's your take on today's lineup?
Yeah, I was scribbling down like the players' names and trying to figure out how he's fit that in. If we were playing 3 at the back with 2 wing backs, like Lewis is obviously a natural choice for left back, but I can't see why, knowing Bruce and knowing like how sort of defensive he is, I can't see how we would play Murphy at like right wing back instead of one of the 2 actual right backs that we've got in the team. So it led me to think perhaps maybe like Shaw was playing right back, and it was like a 4-4-2, somehow 4-5-1 or something like that. I'm not quite sure. I think it's anyone's guess. I think in centre midfield, it'd be interesting to see what happens. The way I jotted it down was having the three at the back and Murphy and Lewis full-backs, and then Fraser and St. Max out on the wings and Lewis up front, and then Hendrick and Almiron in the middle. But I don't know if, because with Almiron, I think he'll kind of float wherever, perhaps, or certainly one of those three I think he'll have a bit of a free roll today and will float around possibly. But I think that's what we needed. That's what we needed last week. We needed to get someone in and around, sort of breaking the lines and running at Man United's shaky defence, and that's what we didn't do. So it'd be interesting to see if we'll have someone in that role who can make things happen and look to be a bit of a spark for us. Because I think what we'll have today, we had a real chance last week to have a go at Man United, but with these today, Wolves, they're really well set up. They're really well drilled, and it's going to be a tough task to break them down. So, yeah, hopefully we get some joy. We've been asking for these creative players to be on the pitch together, and they are for once. So, yeah, let's see what happens.
Sky has us down as a 3-5-2 with Hendrick in the middle of that. It should be interesting. What does Steve Bruce have to say, Martin?
Yeah, pretty much. So the initial chat with the lineup was just that apparently Shelby's been sick for the last few weeks. Didn't get into detail, cut that off quite short. Spoke then about Fraser getting a start, that the internationals have done him well, and delighted to get him into the club. Reporter asked him about St. Maximum, asked him what position he'd be playing today, and Bruce told the reporter ASM has got a free role today. He's an attacking player, and he's got free rein today to run the pitch and try and get around them. So, yeah, no real deal to. He did use the word hopefully twice, which I had to mute. But anyway, let's see what happens.
Okay, lads, I want to ask you what you make of Wolves' lineup and Wolves in general, really. So, Martin, we'll stay with you as you've got the floor. What's your take on that Wolves lineup? Who should we be concerned about today?
I think Raul seems to be. He's been in form. I watched him there the other week. Your man Dendonker I like as well. I'm quite happy that Traore is on the bench and not starting, because I think we struggled with him last time. When we played them at home, it was only ASM I think was able to. Not ASM. It was Miggy that was able to keep up with him. So they're a good team. He's got a lot of Portuguese lads in there. So he's coach is bringing in his own kind of countryman. They've got a good formation. He seems to stick to it. He's always kind of the 3-5-2, or he can move that round a bit. But they're attacking. They've got good pace. So I think hopefully our attacking formation will give them something else to think about. But they're a good team. It'll be a tough game, I think.
Okay, Spenny. Anybody who stands out for you in that Wolves lineup today?
Just that Raul, I think he's a cracking little player in. And Neves is not good turn and all. He's 3 kicks in that. Not that bad turn. Good team was like, there is a team though, aren't there? There is the manager's team that. They're all his countrymen. You know what I mean? Nothing's being put in like us. The chairman buying this and chairman buying that. He's asked for them players and he's got them. Which should happen in every club. Really.
Chris, Wolves are one of those teams which, they're hot and cold. They've done well. They've come up. They've established themselves in the Premiership, a bit like Newcastle had, when they came up under Keegan and got themselves into the European slot. Suffered like most teams do when you get into the Europa League with these Thursday, Sunday type of games. And it's, it's been a weird start for them, but they seem to have found form just before the playoffs.
Yeah, they do have a bit of that retro Newcastle feel. I was going to say as a quip, it's they're just like watching Portugal minus Ronaldo. So many Portuguese. They're well drilled. They have an identity, and they're I'm not going to say they're a predictable squad, but sort of they're going to get sort of quality out of the side and sort of be that team outside of the traditional top 6 that we used to be, in terms of more a club that's going to be a solid performer and get results, and it all starts from the top, and it shows you what a good manager can do for a side.
Yeah, but does Pete? Anyone in the Wolves team stand out for you?
Raul Jimenez is a fantastic centre forward. He's in terms of centre forward for me. I think alongside Harry Kane, I think he's one of the best in the league. He's dangerous. He's a big, strong lad, good in the air. But I tell you what, he works hard off the ball. He works, he presses, he chases, and I think he's gonna cause us some problems today because our centre backs haven't been great and they've been quite shaky of late, particularly Lascelles. Lascelles needs a good performance today. He needs one, and this is the perfect game to kind of play against someone that's going to be up there and giving them a bit of a battle. I'm surprised Adama Traore is not playing. There's been quite a few games with Wolves recently where he's been on bench, coming on last 15, 20 minutes and using that sort of pace and power to really disrupt teams. So I'm surprised that he hasn't been playing, but that's something that we've got to be worried about. Set pieces are going to be an issue for me because obviously I've said Raul Jimenez, Deboka's good in the air. You've got Cody, you've got Bowley, who are all fantastic and strong players in the air. So corners and free kicks into that box, I'm a little bit worried about because height and aerial prowess is something that we don't have in abundance in our team, and we're not the best at defending set pieces either. And where you've normally got Dubravka going out and commanding your area, we've had it in the last couple of games under Darlow, but with that injury still not being 100%, although he's fit to play today, is he going to be as commanding as always? That's a question mark there. So, look, Wolves are a team, back-to-back 7 finishes. They're a progressive team. They've got good pace in wide areas. They're a tricky side, for sure. Just really quickly, I don't know if Martin heard the bit from Kieran Dyer after Bruce's interview. Kieran Dyer had a chance to about Newcastle, and I don't necessarily agree with him very often. But the one thing he said, he referred to Benitez and then Bruce, that they've done okay as managers, but in fact that he's just bored of watching Newcastle, and I can't really agree with him on. I think as Newcastle fans, I think we're just bored of watching the same grinding out results, as he said, week in, week out. This is an attacking team that we've got out there with attacking players that can cause problems. Regardless of the result, I want to see attacking football.
Okay, good points, Pete. Yeah, Chris, again, you're nodding with Pete. It's you're right next to him there, but you seem to be agreeing with everything he says. And yeah, I mean, the Wolves team. My only concern would be that they're used to playing in this formation. Bruce is going into another game and he's changing it again. And it doesn't bode well when you're moving players from position to position. And yeah, that happens with injury. It happens with suspensions, but. This is another formation with another set of players in. Wolves are used to playing well. Looking at Wolves, do you think they'll be able to take advantage of that today?
Most probably, yeah. I mean, Wolves, as the lads have already, said, Wolves are, solid. They know how to play. They've got an identity. And throughout the team, I don't really see much weakness with Wolves. And obviously, they go out like that. Semedo, they went and got him from Barca, didn't they? What was he, 30-odd million? It's different different leagues for us at the moment, unfortunately. We're not in that position. I mean, the big threat for me today is Raul Jimenez. I think I said that yesterday. He's going to be the one to look out for. But throughout the team, they're solid. I mean, the defence is really good, with Bolly, Cody and Kilman. Kilman got man of the match last week, I believe, as well. He's only a young lad. He's come in, done well. And I noticed Ruben Neves is back on the team as well. I think he was dropped for a couple of games. So him being back, he's going to be no doubt pulling the strings in the middle. I noticed Moutinho's out. I'm not sure why. Jean Moutinho, I really rate him. Technically, he's fantastic. So that could work to our advantage. But yeah, it's going to be a massive game today for Hendrick and possibly Fraser if he's in the middle with him. So sooner or later, Steve, like you've said, we need to we need to find our identity and we need to stick with a formation that works. Hopefully today, we're going to perform well. It's going to go good. And, I just want to see Bruce stick with something. I appreciate you can't play exactly the same way against all teams. But even if, 90% of the time we played a certain way, I don't think fans, would complain as much then. I mean, away to City, you can't play free-flowing football and have a go at them. But, when you're at home to the likes of West Brom, Villa, teams like that, you don't want to see defensive. You want to, you want to cause them problems. We've got some fantastic players going forward. Arguably, our front four, when they're all fit and they're all in the team, I don't see many, other attacking options in other teams that are head and shoulders above those front four. So that's where I think the frustration for Newcastle fans comes from, because we should be able to, get on the front foot and give teams a go. And hopefully today, that's what we're going to do. And, if we lost 3-2 or something like that, but we've played attacking football and we've gone for the game and gone for the win, I don't think fans are complaining about that as much. I really don't. But when you're sitting up, you're setting up to defend and you're losing 2-0 and you're getting maybe a shot on target in the match, it's not good enough. So, fingers crossed.
Yep, good point. Somebody needs to give Jamie Carragher some lessons on how to hold a microphone. I've just took that photograph of him on off my television there, and he's got it constantly held over his nose and his mouth. So unless he's trying to promote Sky Sports and get a better pay deal, like he needs, somebody needs to tell him. Daz, Wolves. Do they concern you, lad?
Yeah,
Spenny's doing it now.
I was just looking at Jamie Carragher and listening to Chris, so I was getting a bit confused there what was going on. But Wolves, they're solid. They're solid everywhere. And the standout for me is Raul Jimenez. The highest compliment I can pay him is he started in my fantasy football year, the team at the start of the season. But as we've seen in a number of games this season already, anyone can beat anyone, and today could be one of those days. We just don't know.
Okay, there he is, accentuating the positives as always. Nathan, Wolves, anybody frightening in that lineup?
Like the lads have said, I'm really glad to see Adama Traore's not starting today, because I think we saw the effect of someone with pace getting a run at Jamal Lewis in the Brighton game, and it tore us apart in the first few minutes, didn't it? So really glad to see that he's not starting today. I'm not sure exactly why, but yeah, like the lads have said, Jimenez is a great shout. They've got quality. Listen, they've got quality all over the park, and I think for me, it's we just need to get on the ball today and make sure we have some of the ball and give it to Miggy and see what he can do. I think that as a Newcastle fan, like the most kind of depressing thing about seeing Wolves is that you look at the project they've gone over the last sort of 2-3 seasons. They've spent like net like 80 million over each of the last 2 seasons or something like that. That's not like, in terms of the revenue that our club generates, that's not a ridiculous amount of money to be spending each season. And it's a sensible project that they've gone on. They've bought really well, and they've bought into this idea which the coach has brought to the club. And look at the results they're having now. They've been promoted, and look at them now. We're looking at them. We're viewing them as a far kind of like superior team to ours in a way. And they've only been around for the last couple of seasons. And it's a case of they've had a sort of philosophy and they've backed it, and they haven't brought the bank. They've bought really well. I think they've spent sensibly, and they've bought some really good players. So it's something that we, as Newcastle fans, we look towards. But we could with a bit of ambition, we could quite easily emulate something like that, takeover or not, and that'd be something that'd be really pleasing to see at our club. So yeah, I think they've got a lot of options all over the pitch to hurt us today. I think, given how shaky we've been at the back, I'm a bit worried about this formation, to be honest, because I think that when we went down at Leicester last season, when we got a thump in there, we kind of had a knee-jerk reaction and went back to 5 at the back, but it's kind of very defensive. But this seems like a kind of 5 at the back, but then more of an attacking threat with only really one recognised centre midfielder. So the centre midfielder has been our problem this season. We've been overrun there in every game pretty much. So it'd be interesting to see how we get on today with only one recognised centre midfielder.
Okay, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw today. I don't think it's going to be the goal fest that some people are predicting. Martin?
Yeah, we've had a decent record against Wolves, so I'm gonna go for a draw as well. But I'll go 2-2.
Spenny?
2-1.
2.
Us, obviously. Never against the other team.
Okay, 2-1 to Newcastle. Chris?
First time all season, I'm not predicting a win. I'm with you, Steve. 1-1.
1-1. Okay, Pete. You're on mute, mate. You've done a Spenny.
Spenny.
He's buzzing at that every time.
Of course, yeah.
I'll be honest. I can't see anything other than a Wolves win. So I'm going to say 3-1 to Wolves.
3-1 to Wolves. Chris.
Oh, was another one doing a Spenny?
Can't believe I've done that. I'll let
Two in a row.
it go then. I went, oh.
You don't have to copy Pete for everything, mate.
I'm gonna say 2-2.
2-2. Daz, in your studio.
No, I was pretending I was doing a Spenny. I'm gonna go 2-1. 2-1 to Wolves. I'm afraid
2-1
2-1.
to Wolves. Okay, Nathan.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get a win today, but I can't sit here and say that, give you a prediction saying that they're going to win. So I'll say a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Okay, that's our predictions. Thanks for everybody for giving us theirs. As always, we'll be given our version of the match coverage and talking about what we see on our various screens. As always, it could be slightly out of sync. Some of our panel are in different countries, but we will probably be joined by other people throughout the show. So the teams are out. Obviously, Sky are going through their lineups and still trying to make sense of the formation. Sky's gone for a 3-5-2 as the team comes back up onto the channel there with Wilson and St. Maximin up front. Murphy, Almiron, Hendrick, Fraser and Lewis across the midfield. I think a lot of us probably feel after hearing Bruce's interview there from Martin that it's more likely to be Miggy support and we're going to have St. Maximin in a free role. We'll see what happens. But getting ready for the kickoff now.
I'd just like to point out I'm not in bed with Chris. Looks like we joined together in bed.
Don't lie, Spenny.
Keep an eye on his hands. Where's his hand? Hey!
Only Chris has got with like a sepia.
David Crone was asking how you are, Spenny, just while we wait for the kickoff. So can you give people a COVID update? How are you feeling?
My chest is starting to go now a bit. The pain's gone. I've got stomach pain still. Other than that, I'm a bit better than I was yesterday, this morning as well. Just taking the paracetamol and the vitamin D's, and the loop was it. Plenty of fruit downs. That's about it.
Good stuff, mate.
Thank you very much anyway, all of you.
No worries, Geordie Jedi says, pleased to see Almiron in the starting lineup. Dean Henry says, I'm hoping a 2-1 win, but a draw would be a good result. Great show as always. Thanks, Dean. And Newcastle and Wolves have the game underway. Live from Molineux. Any happy memories from going to games down there, anybody?
I've been to a couple of games down there. I think the first one I ever went to, Steve Bull was up front for Wolves.
Oh, God.
I think he scored a hat-trick on the day. I think we got beat 4-1. So hopefully it's not like that.
Was that not the home game? Was that not the home game on New Year's Day?
It might have been,
Might have been,
yeah.
But I remember going down to Wolves. It was always a bugger of a place to get out of to get back to your bus.
Yes. You
had to come under like an underground pass or something coming out of it when they'd done the far end, the away end.
Yeah.
Long time back, I think. But
yeah, Tom's saying the hat trick by Steve Bull was at St James's Park. It was New Year's Day. In fact, I think that was the season that we missed out in the playoffs. We got beat off Sunderland in the playoffs, and that was the big. That was a bad result for us.
I always used to rain when I went down. I always rains in Birmingham when I go down there. I don't know why.
Newcastle wearing the black and white stripes, but got the white shorts on today and the black socks. Just a minute and a half into the game. Both teams just trying to feel their way into the game. Dave Harrison.
Recent experience about.
Go on.
I was going to say my most recent experience of going to Wolves was the game in the Championship where we won 1-0. I think Mitrovic scored just for half time. That was my most recent experience of going there. I think my first experience was the 1-1. I think Shearer equalised. I think they had it on Sky the other day. They went 1-0 up, and then we got. I think it was the first time we played them actually, or we played in the Premier League. That was quite a good game. I think it was a Sky game that day.
Looks like they're playing three at the back, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Hendrick looks like, just put up there, I think Hendrick's playing just in front of that three, I think.
Yeah.
There's a bottle on the pitch. Difficult to explain where that's come from. It's obviously one of the players, and the ball actually hit the bottle and went out of play. It's not quite a beach ball like we saw at Sunderland, but it just meant that the pass hit the bottle and went out. So the ball's been placed back onto the pitch. Newcastle have possession again. But yeah, definitely playing three at the back.
Oh, shocking!
That's a brutal ball.
For those of you who are late in today, obviously Newcastle line up like this. And we've established it's definitely three at the back. So Shaw, Lascelles, and Fernandez making up that three. All this early possession, as you would expect, is coming from the home team. Funko Freddy thinks this lineup is the final throw of the dice for Steve Bruce. And it was interesting. It was interesting to hear Bruce's comments yesterday. I know things can be taken out of context, which I think when you watch the full interview that Steve Bruce gave on Sky, that certainly was yesterday. But was anybody getting excited when they heard Steve Bruce saying that he might not be here very long? Nathan.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's been a lot of this last week really that's been. You can choose to read into it or to not read into it. But when I heard that, people were saying, "Oh, it's talking about, oh dear, it's talking about like retirement." But he quite quickly said afterwards, because he said, "Oh, well, you're gonna have people worried thinking you're gonna pack it in." And he said, "Oh no, there's plenty of time left yet." But so he was definitely talking about his time at Newcastle. So I think I was trying to jog my memory and think of if I've ever heard a manager under pressure say, "Oh, good save."
Good save, Dom.
I was trying to think if I've ever heard a manager under pressure say, "I don't think I've got long left." I've never heard that before. So I think there's something in that, definitely. I think if a manager's under pressure and they get asked something like that, they say, "Oh, well, it's not up to me, it's up to the board," that kind of thing. But they never say, "Oh, well, I think it's I think I don't have long left." So yeah, I think something's going on, and he must either he's confident he knows he's doing shit and he's going to get sacked, or something else is moving in the background.
Yeah, that shot from the edge of the box, didn't see which Wolves player it was, but Darlow got down smartly at his near post and palmed the ball away. But Wolves retained possession, and they've got it again in their own half. Daz, the Jamie Rubin thing caused a bit of a stir as well this week, didn't it? With more activity at Company's house, and then Jamie's Twitter comments. What did you make of that? Yeah,
when you add it up all up together, you think, oh, something's going to happen tomorrow, that kind of way. But I only saw I only heard and saw the clip of Steve Bruce, and the clip I saw, it was he was packing his bags. But I think Chris Hall sent on the full clip. I haven't got to see that yet, but it might have said it more in context. But with Jamie Rubin packing it in at QPR as well. It looks like things are in motion, but we still probably have a bit to go yet. I don't buy the excuse of what came out in Sky about showing respect to QPR, because if that was the case, he would have left in February or March last year. So I think it is all playing out in the background, but we'll have to wait until closer to Christmas.
Okay,
Hopefully.
Martin says Bruce is a nice guy. I think I was 100% behind him when he came, but I think we need a change now. I think a lot of people are starting to say that. Robert Dobson says we could do with this win because we'd go up 7 places. Definitely 5-3-2 when we're defending, says Smash Pumpkin. And Frankie says, afternoon, lads. Fingers crossed today for a win and a good performance, although I would settle for just the win. The dreaded white shorts have been brought out. It's the white socks I hate, Frankie. And Jamie Rubin left QPR, and QPR fans, they didn't know much about him. We had one, says Azzy. Yeah, Chris, what have you made of this week's developments, mate, with Rubin and obviously Bruce's comments yesterday?
Yeah, Bruce's comments. When I first saw the video, I was quite excited because he looked like a man who'd kind of been told he's skating on thin ice. But then when I watched the full interview, it made me just feel a bit. I don't know whether he's just saying it really just to kind of get a dig in. I think Sam said on one of our chats that could be the case, so it could be. But yeah, Jamie Rubin, I feel like it feels like they're just getting all the ducks in line, so to speak. I feel like they're just, trying to make sure everything's ready, make sure nothing's going to upset, the apple cart. I think it does mean something. I don't think, and as Dad said, there's no way, he's thought, it's the right and proper thing to do, because he'd have done it months ago, even if it was April, May, something like that. I think someone said to him, listen, things are moving now. You need to basically leave your role because something could be coming up. And similarly, it's given me a lot of positivity as well, because, I don't see him leaving his post on a whim.
Oh, it's all Wolves at the minute. That was Prudence who came through and hit the bar, hit the ball well wide of the upright and across the bar. But yeah.
We haven't mentioned the owner of QPR joking with Jamie Rubin about showing him the way to
yeah, that was another one, wasn't it?
Rashford, yeah. I mean, obviously that, I don't think that there's anything in that. It was just a sort of a practical joke, because the only reason that Jamie Rubin would leave QPR at this point would be because he's got a directorship lined up at Newcastle, even if it's not for a 6 months or a year. But I just thought it was sort of like an in the know joke, and I think that there's obviously there's more to that than anything about Nick DeMarco's bread.
Yeah, it's definitely been a strange thing. It's like Chris always saying, it's like all the stars are trying to align at once. And Daz was mentioning, that he still thinks there's things moving on in the background. Pete, what's your take been on all of that this week? It's been a strange old week for things coming out on social media and in the press. Pete, he's got a bad head.
Yeah, seeing this first 10 minutes. Sorry, can you repeat that question? This game
just your take on the whole Rubin situation, and obviously Steve Bruce's interview on Sky.
It's strange. It's strange that it's happened now. A few that I just said, if he was going to leave, why hasn't he done it sooner? The fact that I think someone mentioned about the QPR fans not even really seeing much of him or even seeing it as a big thing. Like, why did it have to be made a big thing? There's lots of question marks there as to why it's been done now. It's obviously been made clear. I know Liam did an article the other day saying that there's stuff going on in the background. There's clearly stuff going on, and it does make it look like they are literally getting ready to step straight in the door once it's done. So for me, a lot of the other talks and bits and bobs are going on. I don't really read too much into that, but that Jamie Rubin resignation or leaving his post, I think is more significant than what we realise, and I think it will probably start to come together, as you've mentioned on the Three Amigos, in the next sort of 4 to 5 weeks. We'll start to maybe hear something, and it'll start to make a little bit more sense then.
Chris, do you think we're getting played a little bit on social media by the likes of Jamie and Meerdad, etc.? Do you think there's a little bit of that in what's going on? I mean, it's a way of keeping us informed without informing us. But what's your take on the use of social media with regards to the takeover and maybe in football in general? Because it's something that players use and it's something that agents use. And I'm sure that there are certain clubs that possibly even use fake accounts to maybe stir up things. Chris, USA, Chris.
Oh, sorry. I was flicking in the track. Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
Yeah, mate. Just talking about the use of social media. And the likes of Jamie Rubin and Meerdad have used social media quite a bit in recent weeks. Nick DeMarco has with these whole bread pictures, and we've also seen in the past, certain players spring to mind. Maybe it's Joey Barton, for example, using social media to cause fans to get aerated over stuff. So social media, it's playing its part, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean that's sort of part of the game, from like when you get player transfers, it's like the big deal is how the club's going to unveil you in a super video on social media. So it's sort of part and parcel of being a player in the modern game, and you've got to have an account, you've got to be savvy with your social media, being in cool but not controversial, and the clubs have to be it's part of their strategy now. So I think that the problem with social media is that it's like you can have 5 or 6 opinions on one image or something like that. So it's hard to get a consensus, and it's sort of like anything on social media can be read any sort of way that you want, and it's sort of who's doing the interpreting versus who's doing the posting. The person posting could have a totally different intention, or just having a wind up with the fans. And especially now, I mean, I think we saw this whole thing with the brands that were complaining to the Premier League about Newcastle fans, engaging with them on every single thing about Premier League corruption or something like that. So I just think it's sort of not a dangerous game, but it's sort of, it's a tricky game to navigate, to sort of get your point across, not have the fans read too much into sort of hidden messages or sort of ulterior motives. And you've got to have smart people behind you and good social media advisors, because you could put out something that has totally unintended consequences.
15 minutes gone and not a great deal happening, it has to be said, other than Wolves attacking and Newcastle failing to really push forward with what appears to be an attacking lineup. Nothing to write home about yet. Spenny, your take on the whole Jamie Rubin stuff this week, Steve Bruce's interview. Are you getting a bit more hopeful about the takeover again?
I'm getting excited, yeah. Especially with people like that, Rubin. If that happened in July, it would have been hell on, wouldn't it? Rubin packed in QBR when the takeover was at this real hilt. We Twitter be going mad, wouldn't it, about this?
Yeah.
Really. Especially this DeMarco fella. He's putting pictures of bread in his apartment and all that sort of thing on every day. And what he's cooking, what he's eating. All the things on just to wind everybody up, don't they? Just to tell them again.
Do you not think Newcastle fans are the only fans who would actually read something into a load of bread being cut, and then the guy's obviously milking it?
Yeah, he's 3 slices of bread, one's 30%, one's 10%, and all this. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
just on that, mate. Just on that, and the guys' use of social media. Back before I ever came on this show, I was with myself and someone else. We were just kind of putting out a shout. A shout
first
to
attack from Newcastle.
Meerdad.
First attack there from Newcastle. Wilson went straight through the great. It was a great ball through, and he broke past the defence. Was 1-on-1 more or less with the keeper. It was a great last-ditch tackle by the Wolves defender. So Newcastle's first attack registered on 16 minutes, and didn't quite force a save, but at least we broke ranks and got into their half. Yeah, go on, Daz.
Yeah, no, I was just saying that. Just before I come on this show, we were putting out a shout to Mirdad to give us a sign that they were still interested in that, and that's where he came out then directly after that with the "Never Going to Give You Up" gif that he sent out. So but I think he's kind of reined it in the last while. He's kind of more cautious about what he likes and puts up these days.
Going back to Liam's article that I read, it said that Ashley there's more things in for Ashley other than selling the club as well. It seems there was more in the deal other than selling the club. The way Liam was portraying the article, I don't know whether he's got something else lined up with him or what. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I would agree, mate. I would agree. There's definitely deals to be done for Mike Ashley, and he's not one for letting things rest. I'm sure that he will get something else out of it, and as well as a few more quid from the consortium once the deal goes through. Martin, what have you made of this week's activity?
I've seen bits and pieces. I probably sound like Daz. I've tried not to be too optimistic about it. I think I watched the Friday show with yourself and Steve and Mitch on it. I think there is things going on, but I think Mitch is right. I don't think we'll hear anything drastically while the legals are involved. I think it'll be, we've said plenty of times before. I think it's good that it's really quiet. Ruben walking away from QBR. Look, he's got to do those kind of things. Is it going to mean the takeovers next weekend? Probably not. So I think we've all kind of jumped before, and everybody was a breaking point when we thought it was last going to happen. So I'm going to kind of play it cool. I haven't really talked about it on social media. I tweeted last night about Bruce's comments. I said, I think, I just put up, I think people are reading too much on it, and I got hopped on. So I didn't put nothing else up after that. But I think you made a good point on the Friday night show, Stephen, that things are happening, but there's nothing imminent. So I think, look, let it play out. No point stressing over what I can't control. So it'll obviously we want it to happen, and it will when it's meant to. But I'm not going to get wound up by bits and pieces. And I think Sam, fair play to Sam. I think Nick DeMarco put a picture up of his flat in Brighton, and she said it might have been her or Kendall. She went, "Oh, it's great. Look, it's black and white paint." And I was like, "Oh God."
Can I make an analysis on Nick DeMarco's latest tweet where he was very clearly rooting for Sheffield, saying, "Come on, Blades," and then all of the replies are pointing out that the Saudi flag is a sword, with Allah Akbar, written in Arabic script. So it's just like that was like for all the Newcastle fans that added the Saudi flag to their Twitter handle. Like this is like their holy grail tweet. Or
brilliant.
I think the longer term. Go on, Steve. Sorry.
Corner to Newcastle. We've got to take every opportunity to try and accentuate some positives. It's a poor corner. We then basically get the ball to Almiron, who cracks the ball up a Wolves defender's backside, and it's ended up nearer Steve Bruce than it has Wolves' goal. So that tells you all we need to know on that. Go on, Martin.
I think the thing with the takeover is, I don't think there's not one person that's black and white that doesn't want it. I think the pieces will align gradually, and I think there's obviously going to be one massive hoolie when it does happen. But I think there's. I think at the minute, from the team's perspective, I think we need to just focus on the football. That to me is of the utmost importance at the moment. Working out, as Daz said, that identity, and Chris said, how are we going to play? What's our style? Stick to it. Let's try and do something on it. The takeover will come, and if that's Christmas, great. It'll be in a shit year of 2020, it'll be a great Christmas present. But I'll enjoy the day when it does come.
Yeah, me too. 20 minutes in, Martin, give us your assessment of the game so far.
We've got absolutely no attack down the left. Almiron looks way too deep for me. Although last 10 minutes we've had 66% of the possession, which is probably one of the highest stats we might get today. We're giving the ball away easy. The back three looks like Hendrick is just sitting in front of them. We've got what seems to be an acre of room between midfield and defence again, where Wolves are just picking up nice little passes and tidy 5-10 yard balls without really having to work too hard. It's 0-0, but it's been all pretty much Wolves so far, barring the corner we've had and a little to play. It's been all Wolves at the minute, so yeah, not much to shout about.
Dave Harrison's very excited. 38% possession, Spenny. How's the game going for you?
We're getting bossed about in the midfield, totally, aren't we? We're very weak in the centre, and left-hand side, like Mans just said there, it's just the same all the time with Bruce's teams. Goes on the one side, fuck with the rest, just on one side all the time. They're like they're playing 4 wing backs as well. We look at the team, doesn't it? Murphy's playing back all the time. Almiron's going back. Fraser's playing back.
It's not quite the front foot football that Steve Bruce has promised, but we'll wait and see. We're only 23 minutes in. Chris, your take on the game so far?
Yeah, it's just a sort of a I think it's like a non-starter for me. We just haven't had, any kind of make chances or, any kind of organization. It just sort of seems that like our bewilderment of pre-match of what the formation would be, how they would sort all these players together is sort of borne out, and that they really kind of have no clue of sort of how to organize with this group, and it's frustrating because again we were calling for those attacking players to be out there, and it sort of just seems like we're not capitalizing on having Almiron, Fraser, and St. Maximin play together. So it's just frustrating. I mean, I wasn't expecting a big win against Wolves. They're a strong side, but it's just, I guess, sort of maybe what I should have expected, but not what I'd hoped for, obviously.
I think there's an interest in there. Just quickly there, we play a ball up. Wilson wins the ball and flicks it on against Wolves' defence onto nobody. And when the camera pans back to Wilson, he's shouting to St. Maximum to tell him, go past me. And like St. Maximum's looking at him at the right hand side, just standing still after Wilson, who's not particularly tall, wins a flick on against 2 central defenders. So St. Maximum doesn't know what to do there. Like Wilson is obviously looking for him to go off him and go past him, and there's no cohesion there.
Wilson's too clever for the rest of the players in the squad, and that's saying something, really. He's got a football brain, which quite clearly some of them haven't. And we're asking Steve Bruce to try and coach people. That is the big issue, I think. Big shout out to Darren Baldwin Funerals, as always, into the last week now of his sponsorship. Thanks very much for supporting us and paying for the StreamYard service, Darren. Much appreciated. And big shout out to qtechshop.co.uk, as always, who as well as sponsoring us in the very first month of the show, also knock up the t-shirts, which we have on www.newcastlelegends.com, which Martin is busy wearing today. Looks very good, mate. Looks very good. Thanks for doing that. Pete, 25 minutes in now. You're looking as if you're in a state of anguish, mate. Every time we come to you, you've got your hand on your head, you're shaking your head. You're not very happy, are you?
He's lost his partner, Chris.
I'm not happy at all. It's for an attack-minded team. Look, individually, you look off front 4 or 5, and they're all quality players, but it's just. We don't look like attacking. We don't look cohesive unit. We just don't look like a team. We just look like a bunch of 11 individuals just plonked in a team and just told to go out there and play. And that's exactly what it looks like. I mean, you've got Maximum that Bruce said has been told he's playing a sort of a free role. He's basically playing as a striker. He's not a striker. Hopefully, he can do something now with him on the run. Let's play. You've got Almiron and Fraser that also look like they've just been given a free role, because 1 minute they're both to 5 yards apart from each other on the right hand side. Then the next minute they're 5 yards apart on the left hand side. There doesn't seem to be any structure in the way that we're playing at all. It just seems a case of just playing the ball and hope. The team look like there's a lack of confidence. You know, I've not seen Lewis get the ball and really make a commanding run down there. He doesn't look like he feels confident to take on a man. It just looks all over. But you're right, exactly what you were saying about the intelligence of Wilson. He is far too intelligent for some of these players on the team. And what he had over the last few years is Josh King playing alongside him, who is an intelligent player himself. And together they worked really well. They had a connection, had an understanding. He's literally playing as a lone striker, and he hasn't got that support. And I think that's one of the things that is it's I think starting to frustrate him, which we saw there when he had to go at Maximum, and right so, because he didn't make a run. It just looks like it's all over the place. And you know, you look at the players in the squad and you think we shouldn't be like that. This is not what it should be like.
Yeah, no surprise to see St. Maximin being brought to his knees by the Wolves players. He's playing in a free role at the minute. We'll just watch this free kick, which Ryan Fraser takes. Gets to the Newcastle man on the front post, but is easily cleared. Ball picked back up in midfield and back to St. Maximin again. Plays the ball out to Almiron on the left-hand side. Plays the ball back to St. Maximin, who goes on a run. Pass 1, pass 2, but the ball is picked up by the Wolves defender, cleared into the midfield area, but Newcastle win the ball back and headed out to play. No, not quite out to play. The Wolves player managed to keep it in. But yeah, almost half an hour gone now, Daz. And Newcastle have 38% possession. Last time it flashed up on the screen. It's not quite the attacking performance we were hoping for. It's very disjointed.
No. And it's I guess it's not pretty, and Wolves are knocking it from side to side across the middle of the park. But like if we came out of this with a draw or snatched a victory, I think we'd all be happy. This is why I was calling for the kind of 5 at the back. It's not pretty to watch. No one wants to see it. But if it gets us a result and a valuable point for the board, we take it. Just to kind of nullify that threat of Wolves, and even then, like a bit of individual brilliance from the likes of ASM or Wilson or something to that could potentially snatch something on the counter. That's what we're kind of hoping for. But it's kind of what I thought he would play today, Bruce. With the kind of, especially when they don't have the ball 62% of the time, it's with 5 at the back. So we'll see how it plays out. Now, if we go a goal down, he's got to switch it up a bit again. But for now, we struggle on.
We do struggle on. Podence is down again. Shaw was having a word there. I missed it. I'm not sure if he got a yellow card, but he certainly took him down. There's no question about that. Dave Harrison just says on the BBC Sport feed, always playing the narrative, the BBC Sport feed, Steve Bruce is the most dignified manager in the league. He's faced criticism from day one and yet has outperformed all his predecessors. Bravo, indeed. Nicholas is going to cash out for his tenner for 192. Colin Wilson says, can you remember when Almiron used to take defenders on? What's gone wrong? Bruce Ball, you're not wrong. And I'll flash this one back up. Matthew Perry says, we played defensive under Rafa, but you could see there were structured patterns of play going forward. Under Bruce, it's just hit and hope. And Chris Smart says, Miggy looks very low on confidence. He's got his head down and he's not focused in any kind of way. I've got to agree, Nathan. Make some good points there made by the people in the chat, as always.
Yeah, I think you've got to look at Almiron and see that he's not... He is low on confidence. He had the ball down his left-hand side a moment ago, and you feel like if that was St. Maximin there, he'd be running at people, or if that was Miggy from last season or the season before, he'd be having a run and looking to take the ball down the line. But he just turned his body inside and looked to play it squarely inside and backwards. I think I'd agree with what a lot of the lads have said. We look very disjointed. It looks like kind of a new team just been put together. Not very convinced with the Ryan Fraser in the midfield. I think, although he's not really putting a foot wrong, I don't think we're utilising him to the best of his ability with him playing there. Yeah, and I think with St. Maximin, it's a bit of a weird one really, because he's playing up front. He doesn't really know how to lead the line. I think he's much better and much more effective for us when we see him picking the ball up on the halfway line, when he's got people in front of him, defenders in front of him, and his teammates in front of him, where he can run at them, can make something happen, can take one or two defenders out of the picture and look to create something. That's where he's at his best. But when he's up front like this, and when he's kind of doesn't have anyone behind him, almost, it's just a bit of a waste for him, because it takes all that element of his game just out of the equation, which is not really what you want to be doing with your star player.
No, definitely not. 32 and a half minutes on the clock. It's a camera goes to Wilson again, and picking up what you said before, Martin. He does appear as if he's trying to convince his teammates or tell his teammates what to do.
Yeah, we obviously had a little bit of chat the last couple of days, and I made a comment a couple of weeks back about Lascelles, and I said, I hashtagged on Twitter and I put "not my captain." I got a bit of stick for it, and I said, you know what, he's not in form. I didn't think he was leading, and I just stuck the name out and I said, would Wilson be a better option? And for me, I think he would be. He seems, he's definitely got leadership qualities. Like if you go back to the clip there with ASM, he's trying to pull the team forward. Like Almiron is so deep. If you look at Almiron there, he's virtually playing like a left back. So I don't know. It's just I think if you have a team that's not fully playing right and you're not with a normal formation that you're used to, somebody needs to be that player that's dragging the other players and going, you're there, you need to be here, you run off him when I'm going to play this ball, and we don't seem we haven't got that. Like there's no one person seemingly kind of driving things on, or kind of like, you can see Wilson getting frustrated there, good ball in, but nobody around him. We're 20 yards off. So
he's only crossing the picture there, wasn't he? Completely.
So I just, I like, obviously, Wilson. I think we did well to get him to the club for the money we did. I think he's a snip, but I think he'd make a good leader. I think that when defence is not working and it has been under pressure, and Darlow last week, I just said, I think on our group chat, maybe we need to move the leadership role a bit further up the pitch. So is Wilson a good candidate? And I think he is. So, be interested to see what the lads think and people watching what they think about that.
Yeah, okay. Spenny, Wilson for captain. Would you take it off Lascelles?
I'll put Fraser captain, mate. He was captain of Bournemouth. Got the experience as well. He's got the mouth. Ritchie's always been a good captain. One ideal replacement for me as well. Matt Ritchie for a captain as well. But going back to Max, I think Max should be swapping him with Almiron. Almiron should be going up front with Wilson, and Max going on the wing, because he like Martin just said, they playing Joe deep. The same old scenario. They don't know where they want to play. They don't know where the manager wants them to play. They're confused as we are. I
think the thing the other night as well, like I watched the Scotland game, and Fraser was playing just off the striker, and he got his goal running clean through from midfield after a short kind of 10-15 yard ball from the left into midfield, one pass, and he was through on goal. Yeah. So that to me seems coming in from that right, and kind of making like he is here now, but he was further in field for Scotland. And I think that's a position that suits him better. So maybe I would maybe put ASM further out and bring maybe Fraser in a little bit to play just off.
Yeah. Chris, your thoughts on what Martin is saying about the captaincy? Is it something you would take off Lascelles and give to another player? Would you give it to Wilson, or do you have somebody else in mind?
Yeah, I've been thinking that Lascelles just isn't the right captain for a while. I know we talked in the past about Ritchie, but he doesn't he doesn't get enough starts, enough playing time to be the full-on captain. He can be sort of an unofficial field general when he's on or in practice. I do like the idea of Wilson taking the captain's armband. He does seem to have that sort of fire inside and sort of that competitive spirit to like roust his troops, which is what you kind of need from a captain. I think we've talked in the past that sort of having a defender as the captain just in all cases isn't really the right move. But I do like the idea of Wilson taking the armband, but I'm sure sort of from Steve Bruce's philosophy, if he does have this, like,
Man, that sucks.
too early,
Oh yeah,
too
man.
early in his tenure to be the
Garbage.
team leader. But yeah, I do agree.
That was a complete waste there. Almiron, who a few people in the chat have said isn't playing with a smile on his face anymore, which I've got to be honest, he isn't. He looks thoroughly miserable today. But yeah, he broke away after a chance, it has to be said, by Wolves, was cleared out the 6-yard area. Miggy went on a run. He had Wilson breaking through the middle. He had St. Maximin on the right-hand side. He chose St. Maximin. It was the right ball, and St. Maximin blasted it miles wide and miles over the Wolves bar. So frustrating half this as we come into the 39th minute. Pete, it's not getting any better, is it? But your thought on the captaincy is Lascelles doing enough to keep it, or should we be looking at replacing him as a captain?
Look, Lascelles won the captaincy, and he did win it through the fact that he stood up against a lot of senior players. When we got relegated in 2016, but that as a captaincy can only take you so far for so long. You've got to then be performing on the pitch, and we haven't seen it enough from him, in the last year or so, to be warranting, firstly, the captain's armband, and to be warranting a regular place in the team. You've got players. I'm still baffled why Matt Ritchie hasn't been considered a captain. For me, Matt Ritchie is captain material, for sure. Callum Wilson's come in, and he has been a sort of commanding figure, and he would be along those lines as well. Other than that, you've got Freddy Fernandez with his experience, who would be someone that I would consider captain. He leads from the back. He's our best centre back at the club, in my opinion. And then you've got, after that, you've maybe got Dubravka, who is also one of those experienced leaders on the pitch. So you've got options there. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if you take it off him. I just don't think it's the right time right now. If you're going to do that, you do it at the end of the season, the start of a new season. I just think it would maybe disrupt the squad too much if we did it mid-season. And I think it would make too much of a point if we did it right now. So I mean, look, that's just my opinion on the captaincy. But this performance is dreadful.
The thing is, if Lascelles got injured, we'd have to change it, right?
Yeah, but we keep giving it to Shelby though. That's the problem. And Shelby's not the captain. Not captain. Shelby never ever plays well when he's got the armband anyway, and that goes all the way back to the season of the championship. He never ever plays well as the captain, and he's just not playing well anyway at the moment, which makes it 10 times worse. So for me, you're right. You've got an opportunity to give it to somebody else. He never gives it to Matt Ritchie, and there are other players there that actually could command it, and they're not. They're just not. So yeah, that's the frustrating thing for me. But that run there from St. Maximin is the best thing I've seen from him for 42 minutes. He doesn't look like he wants it today for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of catching up to that to do. We've had Miggy Almiron booked for a typical forward players challenge on one of the Wolves players. Wolves took the resulting free kick and wasted it, but then Newcastle managed to regain possession, and the ball fell to St. Maximin, who, as Pete quite rightly said, hasn't done a great deal this half, but did put a run in and a shot which lacked a degree of power, but was one of those that skidded across the surface and might have troubled the keeper, but he managed to gather it and save it. So 42 minutes into the game, and it's Wolves 0, Newcastle 0. I think the one thing I would say probably is that Wolves haven't really performed to the best of their ability either. But there was a stat that did come up on the screen which suggests that Wolves are certainly a second half team and score a majority of their goals in the second half, and that has something to do with Traore, of course, who is on the bench and is probably looking forward to coming on and having a go at Newcastle's back three. So yes, Daz. Captaincy, would you give it to Lascelles, or would you let Lascelles keep it? Sorry, or would you pick another candidate?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I don't think you need the armband to be a leader on the pitch. We need a focal point, right, and in that captaincy role. But I see Martin's point of pushing it up the pitch, but I'd rather Wilson concentrate on scoring the goals. I see Pete's point in giving it to Dubravka, who is a leader at the back, but he's too far back. I wouldn't change it, actually, to tell you the truth. And what Pete said about, Lascelles won it back a number of years ago when no one else is stand up, and he does still need to prove himself year in, year out, game in every game. But so at the moment, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't give it to the likes of Shelby. I wouldn't give it to Richie either. So I don't think we have a natural replacement today to take up the captaincy role until hopefully a takeover goes through and we start switching that squad around and changing some of the guys who are with us in the championship. So today I'd keep it with Lascelles.
Andy Gibson thinks Fernandez would be a better captain. He's a good shout, certainly. Nathan, your view on the captaincy?
Yeah, I think I've said this quite a few times on the show that we've got ourselves a bit of an issue in that Lascelles is our captain, but he's not our best centre half, and he's probably not our second best centre half if Kieran Clark's fit. So it's a bit of a difficult one because we've got him playing this position, but he's the captain, so he's kind of like, is he undroppable because of that? Because he's the captain. Bruce certainly seems to think so, because he tends to come back into the picture as soon as he's fit again, if he's ever out for injury. For me, you can look at Lascelles' performances under Rafa and look at his performances under Bruce, and the two completely different kettle of fish. The way that he performed under Rafa, he was strong. He was a good leader, and we looked different. We looked better for him being in the back four when under Rafa, and we missed him often when he was out. But then if you look at the way he's been playing under Bruce, as the way a lot of the players are playing under Bruce, he's not at it, and he doesn't look up for it. He looks like Fernandez carries him through games a lot of the times. I don't think I give the captaincy to Fernandez. He seems quite quiet to me. I don't know if that's just my observation of him, but he seems like he doesn't seem overly vocal, and he doesn't seem to be too organisational in terms of further up the pitch. I know he tends to drag Lascelles into position sometimes, and the left back, whoever's playing there. But I don't think he's kind of conversational and kind of doesn't have those qualities to have a big impact on the rest of the pitch. We talked about players like Dubravka. I'm never a fan of giving the captaincy to a goalkeeper. I know a lot of teams do it. I feel like the goalkeeper should always be a good goalkeeper. He's always going to be commanding that back four, and he's always going to be shepherding people around and controlling what's in front of him. So I think that should be a natural role for a goalkeeper anyway. So I don't think it would be any benefit to give him the captain's armband. People have mentioned Richie. For me, Richie shouldn't be playing every week for us if we want to crack on, and if we want to move up the table as a team. If we're playing Rich every week, we're playing him wide right or wide left. And then we've had people complain in previous weeks about not seeing Almiron playing, not seeing Fraser playing, not seeing St. Max, not seeing these players playing out wide. So if we're taking up a spot for Matt Ritchie, he's the captain, then that takes one of those creative players out of the team, and for me, that's a bit of a backward step. So to me, it seems like the only natural choice is really Callum Wilson. After you mentioned it, Martin, just then, had a bit of a little look at him and observed him for a few minutes. And when we were defending, he was quite deep, and he was pointing around, and he was showing people where to go, where to be, that kind of thing, moving Almiron into position. So he does seem to have those qualities about him. So it might be a good shout. But for me, I think I've said it on here before a few times when we've talked about if there's a potential takeover, who would we want to buy and who would we want to bring in? I've said a few times that we need to go out and buy a captain. We need to go out and buy a centre midfield general captain, like absolute, ball winner, box to box, like captain type player. People mention like Jordan Henderson. I'm not his massive fan. I'm not his biggest fan, but a player like that who will kind of, he'll get about the team from the centre of the pitch, because we're lacking that character in the middle of the pitch for me.
Half-time, Newcastle United at Wolves, and it's 0-0. A pretty damp squib of a game. Some great comments coming in. Pineapple suggests Isaac Hayden could be a good shout as captain. Stu isn't a fan of Steve Bruce, as we know. He says, is this Steve Bruce's attacking lineup? One shot at the end of the half. Fantastic. Cattle says 4 wingers playing and none of them actually playing as a winger. Another good point. Trull's just asking what the squad is. You'll be able to pick that up in the chat a little bit earlier. Think the plan is to get it out wide to the 4 wingers today, says Tom, but it's not quite working out like that. And luckily, Wolves ain't hitting top gear yet, as we could be screwed. Is the takeover happening this week? Lots of noise again, says Travel Chasing. We've talked about it on the Three Amigos. We felt that nothing was imminent, but it's all positive. It's always positive to hear that kind of stuff. And M basically says that they'd rather have Mike Bassett over Steve Bruce, and it's certainly not sexy football, Gerard. That's for certain. Half-time then, Martin. Your analysis, please, of that wonderful first half of free-flowing front foot football.
The positives first. It's 0-0, so we're not losing. That's a positive. Probably the first 20 minutes, it was all Wolves. We've come back in it a little bit, I think, to be fair. The structure of the formation just doesn't seem to be clicking for me. I'd like to see, as we said there a little bit beforehand, I'd like to see maybe ASM push out a bit and bring Fraser a little bit closer to Wilson. One of the comments that came up there beforehand was, Fraser and Wilson played really, really well together at Bournemouth. So, we've got 2 players we got from the same team who have a bond and a link of the way that they play, and Bruce is not playing them right. So I don't get that, really. So I'd bring Fraser a little bit tighter towards Wilson, maybe just off him or just behind him, similar role as he does for Scotland. Wolves haven't really stepped into second gear. I think Nate made a good point about the second half. Traore coming on, I'd be worried about, but not a great half, to be honest.
No, definitely not a first half to remember. Spenny, your take on it, mate?
Who are liking it? Passing's terrible again. It's all kick and rush all the time, isn't it? Kick the ball as fast as you can and run after it. There's no game plan, as usual. You're clueless.
Okay, simple but effective there, Spenny. Chris, your take on it?
I was just on Twitter and I saw that Chris Waugh was saying that it hasn't been that bad because Newcastle's been more defensively disciplined than he's seen them in recent weeks. And I was sort of thinking maybe it's not so much that Newcastle's defense is looking good, just like that the Wolves' attack is not sort of in high gear, high powered. So maybe I don't know. It's sort of a so-so performance. I don't think there's any sort of real positives to point out to, like Martin said, except for the fact that it's still 0-0.
Pineapple asking, how would we feel if Rondon returned to town? Oh, God, it would be fantastic, mate. I'd love to see him back, but I don't think it's going to happen. Pete, your take on that half? I think I know what you're going to say, mate.
Well, it was shit. Let's be honest. Our performance hasn't been great. We have been lucky that Wolves haven't been on their game, because if I think they had, they would have created a lot more chances. They would have scored a lot more goals. I think Wilson's done well up front. I think he tried to hold the ball up when he could and tried to link the play when he could. He's been someone that's been pushing their defenders back the other way, which is what we've needed. I do worry about the second half because the one thing that they have in their squad are quality players to come on. You got the likes of Moutinho and obviously Adama Traore that can come on and really cause some problems late in the game. So the one thing that I'm worried about is whether we're going to tire, whether we're going to get tired as the game goes on. And when we get tired, we start to make mistakes. We don't tend to track players as well as we have done. So that's my worry. If we're going to get something out of this game, I'm convinced that Wolves will score. We need to get the first goal.
Okay. Samantha says ASM wants a free rule, but he was lazy that first half. Too selfish. Needs to work harder and try to bring others in. Yeah, Daz, I would agree with Samantha's assessment.
Yeah, didn't he? He's trying to bring others in. He brought in his mate with to join us, didn't he? But anyway, there's nothing to be happy about. But I'm happy because I have this down as a defeat. So, and we're 0-0. We're just trying to nullify what they're throwing at us, and the real danger is in the second half because they're going to up a gear, and are we going to be able to combat it? And I can't see at the moment us getting anything ourselves, getting a goal ourselves. So if we can shut them out, you never know, but it'll be interesting.
Okay, and Nathan, your take of that yawn spoke more than your comments probably will.
Yeah, I think
it's all that flat pack furniture.
Yeah, like Daz has said, I think it's it's good that we're still in the game. That's pretty much the only kind of positive I can draw upon at this point. I think with Almiron in that free role that we talked about up front, he was kind of really ineffective. It took the best out of his game, like I mentioned. We had a lot more joy towards the end of that second half when he actually came back onto the wide left. Like from the highlights are showing there, that chance where he cut inside and had a bit of a shot. That was all from him being back in the position where he naturally plays. And I think it's as good as it is to give him that free role. I think he's much more effective from where he normally is. There's a reason why every team we've played against this season tries to kick him out of the game, and it's because he can do things like that from that position. So putting him in a new position, I don't think it really suits his game at all. I'd much prefer like Almiron to be in and around Wilson. I think get out of the players that we've got. To be honest, I think Podence is for Wolves is causing us all sorts of problems in the middle and down the left for them. He's turned Murphy in and out, inside and out a few times now, and got to the byline, but not been able to deliver anything with real quality. But that we need to be really wary of that because they've got a lot of threat in the box if they can get that ball in and get a decent ball into us. Really worried about Traore coming on and what he's going to do down that right hand side for Wolves. So yeah, it's been really, really poor to watch. But I mean, given how the last game went, I didn't really expect anything better than this, to be honest. Unfortunately, and that shows how far we've come, doesn't it?
Yeah, Supernova, you are right. Miggy has deserved a mention. It is good to see him back in the side, running his socks off as usual. Pity that he's not smiling as much. It does seem as if he's being bruised. And like to see Sean Longstaff get some time, says Davey Eddie. Hendrick hasn't got a decent pass in him. Not yet, anyway. Just running around like a headless chicken. Again, I just think the formation isn't suiting certain players, and the lack of coaching ability by Mr. Bruce certainly doesn't help. Does that Newcastle team look like a group of players hungry to win, willing to give everything for the club? They look as fed up as we are. That's a great way of putting it, Jason. Anyone watching? I know we get a few people who dip in for half time. Please like the video. Just click the little thumb up. And if you're a first-time visitor to the channel, please subscribe. We'll have some great shows on 7 days a week during this pandemic. Different things each night. Just subscribe to the channel, and always something to talk about with Newcastle United. And don't we know it? Dunhill says Almiron alongside Wilson for the second half. And Mr. Soze says, how are you, man, lads? Let's get behind them. It's very difficult. It has to be said at times. But you're right. We are supporters. We are supposed to support. But I think it was 52,000 of us at St. James's Park last week. Bruce wouldn't have been getting much support. He would have been getting the lickings of a dog, Mr. Soze. So, Martin, second half. Prediction for the second half. Can you see... Can you see a substitution, or is Bruce going to do his usual and leave it too late? And you know, we're going to have to hope for the best.
I think he'll be true to form, Steve. I think he'll leave it. You know, if nothing's going wrong, I think he would probably be of the mindset he'd probably take the draw. You know, again, for me, I think, you know, we need to push somebody further up with Wilson, whether it's ASM or whether it's Miggy or Fraser just behind him. He looks isolated. We need to do something with the left-hand side. The ball, interestingly, just playing back off Sky, the ball that was played in for Wilson when he broke through was actually Jacob Murphy, was a lovely ball. So maybe we need to push him a little bit further up. I don't know. But I think Wilson needs that support. And, you know, Hendrick, you know, doesn't tell you, like, we watch him regularly enough playing for Ireland, and he is a good player, but he plays in the same position for Ireland week in, week out when they play, and he knows that role, he knows that position, and he's definitely not being played, you know, fully in the right position. Okay, it's centre's, you know, probably his more closer position today. He's not at the races at the minute, but again, when you look around, when he does get the ball, he's nobody alongside him really, so he's no option but to go back or do something. So I'd push somebody further alongside Wilson. I'd like to see Fraser up there personally. Let them work together. But I think Bruce will leave it as is for the time being.
Okay, Daz, Julie Baker says if you line up correctly with your backdrop there, Daz, you looks like you've got Mickey Mouse ears, just with the badge going round.
Thanks, Julie.
Brilliant. Spenny, what do you expect in the second half, mate?
Well, I've just been thinking now, and what Martin's just said in the chat, that the body language of the players is totally different. Have they been told something, or are they all falling out with Bruce? Because you look at Almiron and Max and all them, they're not happy about something. Something's going on. It'll be the same old story 10 minutes to go. He'll make about 4 substitutes or 3. Put them all on, won't he?
Barry Hogan's asking, is Al Walid okay? We need the light of Starbucks. Yes, he's having a day off today. It's a slightly late kickoff for him today, I think. So no Al Walid today, but I believe you me, he will be back at some point. Nice to know that he's been missed. Chris, your take on the second half?
Yeah, you know, something's got to change. I don't know that Steve Bruce has given them a rousing halftime oration. It just probably says go out there and do it, lads. I feel like they haven't quite sorted out like the midfield and attack sort of give and take. I feel like they're the organization is sort of out of sorts, and Hendrick just doesn't seem sort of being played right or performing right, and Wilson just doesn't seem to be getting the service that a player of his caliber deserves. So I feel like I don't know. I don't have any confidence that they're going to sort them together. And sort of the question is whether they hold out for a 0-0 draw or whether they go for it and attack and then concede a goal on the counter attack. And I sort of my heart says, okay, go for the draw, and my head sort of says, well, they're going to concede a goal and lose. So,
okay. Pete, second half, what are you expecting?
I'm expecting Wolves to score. It's just a case of whether we get one first, because Wolves, it's there for Wolves. Wolves have to win this game if they want to be continuing the way in which they are in terms of pushing up the league. These are the type of games that they're expected to win. They're the favourites, so they're going to come out and be even more attacking. So it's whether we can get in and behind them on a counter attack, a little bit like what we did with ASM and Miggy towards the end of the half time. It's whether we can get those sort of chances and be clinical in those sort of chances. That's the key. If they get the first goal, I think they'll comfortably go on and win the game. The way we've set up, the way that we're playing, the slow passing football across the back, it's like we're trying to waste time. It's like, Bruce has set us up to just get a point, But we all know that when we set up a team to just get a point, 9 times out of 10 we don't get anything. We need to be setting up certainly, the first 60, 65 minutes of the game to be going out and really try and attack a team and get something on it, and get something in the game, a goal, something to kind of fight for. But we haven't. And the longer this game goes on and the more tired our midfielders get, the more opportunities they're going to get. So I still think Wolves will win the game. But I always love to be proven wrong.
Another one of those stats that Sky like to come out with is just flashed up on the screen, and it is that since 2018, with a game at half-time, Wolves have had the most wins in the second half, and that is 12. And that is something that they're actually top of the table in. So, Daz, second half's kicked off now, and at Molineux, Wolves 0, Newcastle 0. How do you see the second half going?
Yeah, I don't like that stat you said, Steve. I can't see Bruce changing it. I think it's going to be more of the same. It's whether Wolves up their game, and if Wolves do score, then I can see Bruce making the change and bringing on Joe Linton and maybe taking off the likes of Almiron and pushing ASM back. But apart from that, maybe some tweaks, or unless there's someone looking a bit tired, he'll make some changes. But I think he's going to stick the same.
Albert Mooney coining a phrase from a well-known Stereophonics song. Newcastle, no passion. He's seen more life in a tramp's vest. Nathan, he's right.
Yeah, I think so. I think we need him to really step it up now. I think Martin mentioned that we're not sure if the players are playing for Bruce anymore. I feel like it's been like that for a good few weeks now. We need to get Callum Wilson involved more. I feel like I'm saying this every single week, but he's isolated up there on his own. No one around him, no one to link up with. I heard about this famous link up that Fraser and Wilson have got from the Bournemouth days, but we've yet to see that materialise really yet. I feel like, haven't we? So, yeah, I'd like to see St. Maximin in his more natural position, because it seemed like we got some joy when he dropped back into that position. But from what it looks like, he's still hovering up, leading the line again. So, yeah, hopefully we can stay in this game and nick a goal. I think that's the best we can hope for.
Yeah, Chris, welcome back, mate. I know you've been on a mission of mercy. The second half's kicked off, no substitutes. Wolves 0, Newcastle 0. The stat that I read out just before you came on was that since 2018, Wolves have won 12 games with the second half performances when the teams have gone in at 0-0, which is the most any Premier League team has done. Doesn't bode well for the second half, mate, does it?
No. Do you know what? Sorry for my delayed absence there. Yeah, so pleased to be back. I was listening to it on the radio in the car, and it doesn't bode well, does it? But do you know what? On a positive thing, as I've always said, Steve, the longer games stay 0-0, the more confidence that I feel. I mean, if we were to go 1-0 down early doors now, I think it's done. But the longer we stay in the game, the better. And Wolves, from what I gathered, Wolves had the majority of it in the first 15-20 minutes, but then we were slowly coming into it. So hopefully this second half, we can come out and get on the front foot, I hope. But we'll just have to see.
Okay, so the second half has kicked off. 49 minutes just about played, and the only real action we've had in this second half so far is Wolves attacking again, so no real surprise there. No changes to the sides or the formation, and Jack McCrubbin coins it really when he says playing for draws just personifies Newcastle under the Ashley regime. Adama Traore is getting warmed up though, Jetsa. So that is the reason, I think, ultimately, that Wolves do well in the second half, because Traore comes on. He is an impact player, and he certainly does, put the opposition on the back foot. And I do worry about, his impact on the game, Martin.
Yeah, he's a quality player. When we played them at home there last season, he tore us apart a bit. I said on the group chat, Adam Beckett, who's normally on with us, said, if Traore comes on and has a good game down that side, it could be against Lewis, it could be another Lampard effect same as Brighton. So yeah, it's much better he's on the bench, but I think he's going to come on at some point. But hopefully if it is, it'll be at a point where Wolves still haven't scored.
Oh,
nearly did. So yeah, same formation. I think Nathan's point is right. Nobody up there with Wilson. He's trying to pull the player further up with him. He's picking the ball up there. You can see on the replay, he's trying to pick the ball up there inside his own half and break past two players. It's crazy.
Yeah, Wolves with a chance there. Basically wasted it again. It's the one thing that the two teams have had in common so far, and that is neither of them can hit a barn door. Spenny?
Something on and on here, isn't it? Flipping it.
Yeah. It's not good, is it? It's certainly not the football we were hoping for. We need a change, Spenny, really, don't we? And the sooner we get one, the better.
I think Lewis is having a kind of game, and the back line, I think he's doing decent. Against them.
Yeah, the corner at Newcastle. Fraser looking for the ball. No doubt he's going to take it. Yeah, Lewis has done okay.
They're still trying to get in the right positions. They don't even know where they're playing, man. I think. Do I play here or do I go there? Aren't they? The mixed up is out.
Corner's a short one, and
Jesus
that's
Christ.
an absolutely horrendous ball from St. Maximin. St. Maximin overhit it to Fraser, who was on the overlap, and the ball went out to play and completely wasted that corner. A pity because we could have done with a bit of pressure being taken off us. Matty P is asking, who would our choice be if Bruce was sacked? Well, I've discussed this on shows this week, but I don't mind asking the question again to the panel. He'd take Nigel Pearson. He thinks the job that he did at Leicester went under the radar. Nathan, we'll come to you for that one. What would you say?
Pearson seems to have established himself as a bit of a manager that comes in and turns things around. I think we've all got aspirations as to who we want pending the beer takeover go through and that kind of thing, but I don't think it's reasonable to kind of discuss those kind of managers at this moment in time. I think it's a bit premature, but for me, I think Pearson would be a good shout. He'd come in and he'd pull up a few trees and he'd give a few of these players a kick up the backside, and I think that's what we could do with. I think really it looks like that we're just kind of floating through games without any real passion or without any real plan. It's painful to watch, isn't it? So I think he'd be a good shout. I think people have talked about Eddie Howe. I don't know whether Eddie Howe is up for, I'm sure, given that he's been out of the game for a good few months now, I'm sure he's itching to get back in. I don't think he'd be the worst shout. I think it's kind of underrated what he did at Bournemouth in terms of the back-to-back promotions and turning a really sort of budget team into a stable Premier League team for a number of years, even though they were relegated last season. Or to be honest, I'm not sure who it would be, but I think we need to go out and find somebody like Wolves have done. Like they went out and got Espirito Santo. They did the homework on him. They've got him plucked out of one of the most sought after managers in the country probably at this moment in time. So I think we need to do something along those lines and go and get some fresh ideas, get some maybe a younger foreign manager with some fresh ideas and someone who's a bit of a disciplinarian who's going to give these players a kick up the backside, because it feels like they're kind of just doing whatever they want at this moment in time.
Yeah, someone's got the TV on. I'm not sure who it is. If they can knock it off, I can hear a woman's voice saying the biggest thing they need to look out for. I'm not sure whether it's football. Daz?
Yeah, it's not me, the TV anyway. But on the manager, the replacement under an Ashley as owner, it's a difficult choice. I can't see him getting rid of Bruce, so unless it goes really pear shaped around Christmas time and the takeover is completely off. But yeah, I suppose like Chris Hughton went to Forest there recently, so he would have been one, but I don't know if he would have come back anyway. To throw someone different out there, maybe the likes of Stevie G. He'd like to get back. He'd like to be in the Premier League, I'm sure. He'd like to see show what he could do. But again, working under Ashley, it'd be a really difficult call. Really, I don't know what kind of quality manager you would get. Okay, anyone to be a better replacement than Bruce, but you'll have to go well down the pecking order to get someone, I think.
Okay, mate. Okay, Chris Hall.
You know what, I've just been thinking about this. I think we'd probably need to go for somebody, as you say, with fresh ideas, someone with, you know, their own philosophy. I was thinking maybe, I don't know, maybe someone like the Brentford manager. Is it Thomas Frank? Somebody like that, just somebody, you know, who's, you know, going to bring something new to the table. I wouldn't like a like-for-like replacement for Bruce. I appreciate that you know, I wouldn't really like to see someone brought in now, you know, on like a 4-year contract with obviously the talks going on over the takeover. So I wouldn't like to. Oh, you've been nervous then.
Yeah, it was
Sorry,
all Wolves again. Another. Yeah, they're looking for VAR. Lee Mason is going to have a look. He's obviously been notified. Nice little interchange of play. The shot was taken by the number 10, and it's hit the hand, the arm, sorry, of Fernandez, I think it was.
Yeah, that'd be harsh now if that's given.
So Fernandez essentially slid in on his backside. He had his back to goal, and his hand, you know, the ball hit the hand, and I think that's been waved away quite easily. So there's no issues with that at all. So yeah, carry on.
Yeah, sorry. So yeah, maybe I'd do you know what? I'll give you 3 really. So if we weren't to be taken over, and you know, we were just staying with Ashley, I'd go for someone like Thomas Frank from Brentford to take a chance on a lower league manager, new ideas, something fresh. If we were to be taken over, I'd like to see someone like Poch come in. As I know everyone's, you know, said previously, I'd really like Pochettino, and I think he'd be fantastic, you know, if we were to get taken over. And in terms of like you know, a steady Eddie, so to speak, to come in for Bruce if he was to be dismissed, and we needed someone to just, you know, shore things up on a temporary basis. I don't think Nigel Pearson's such a bad shout. The only problem with him is, though, I think I get the impression, I don't know, but I get the impression he is a disciplinarian, but he might rub some players up the wrong way. And I think if you're on side with him, great. But I think if you go against him, it could implode. So it could be even worse. So yeah, long term, if we don't get the takeover, I'd go for Thomas Frank at Brentford. And obviously, if we do get the takeover, I'd go for Poch. And if Bruce is out and we're just looking for someone to shore things up, yeah, I'd probably say someone like Pearson, who's been in the Premier League, knows the score. That's probably what I'd go for.
Nigel Pearson for you, Chris. Would you take him, or would you look for somebody else?
I think as far as people available, I mean, we're not going to get Pochettino unless the takeover is actually happening. So someone like Ranieri would be maybe just like a decent interim that's not offensive. And that, you know, we could let go when takeover happens. I know Eddie Howe has been mentioned. I don't think he's a fit for Newcastle, and I don't know if he would take the job under Bruce. So
okay, mate. Spenny Mag.
I would go for Sean Dyche, me, from Burnley. You'll sort the club out, top to bottom, get the team sorted out, where they're playing, which formation, a lot. And if the takeover did happen, I wouldn't mind that. Sorry, Chelsea manager. I think he has his passion on his sleeve, that guy.
Okay, Martin, your take on the managerial situation. If Bruce went, who would you get in as a stopgap or as a permanent?
Yeah, I'm with Nathan, really. I think Pearson for some, you know, I think there's a few players. There seems to be a bit more player power, perhaps going on a little bit at NUFC. With the likes of Shelby and maybe Lascelles, maybe. So I think, you know, Pearson is a disciplinarian. So maybe that's what we need. That, you know, there's a few straight truths told, and a few players put to their point, maybe. So yeah, I could see something like that in the short term. Under Ashley, Frank from Brentford's a good call. But if we had the takeover, I know we're talking the likes of Poch and players like that. But or managers like that. But if I could take a manager right now that I think could do a good job, would be Bielsa from Leeds.
Yeah, okay. I don't think we haven't got much chance of getting some of those names, I don't think, under Mike Ashley, but we can dream. An hour on the clock, and Newcastle making a rare foray into their box, and chance here.
Oh, come on, handball. Wilson's looking for it now.
Wilson shouting for a handball. We're getting a replay here now. It was a great run down the right-hand side by Lewis, cut the ball in. Wilson then squared the ball at Miggy. The ball was played in, and we're looking to see whether there's any kind of infringement or handball there. Closer view now. Almiron hit it. The defender headed the ball. The defender headed the ball onto another defender, and yeah, it looks like it's been waved away as well. I think it was Cody. Yeah, the camera's on Cody there. I'm not sure whether he was the man who they're looking at, but it seems as if VAR's actually switched off at today's game. Doesn't seem to be anything getting looked at. It does often happen that. Just ask Sheffield United. They have technical difficulties last season, and it cost them some valuable points. But nice to see Newcastle and Wolves' half. An hour on the clock. Martin, have you seen any signs of improvement?
No, I mean, again, the positives, it's still 0-0. His Traore getting stripped. So, again, Wilson seems to be trying to pull players into him. We've just got the ball down the right-hand side there into Shaw, and he can't even control it. It goes out, and it's a throw into Wolves. So we're just struggling. There's just no cohesion still. So I think, 61 minutes, 62. Traore looks like he's coming on for Wolves. I think we need to make our own change as well. Maybe a slight change of formation.
Get Big Joe on.
Yeah, it's not working. Maybe it's not that bad, but we need to. I think we need to change it. This doesn't appear to be working, in my opinion.
Yes, when I said get Big Joe on, it was tongue-in-cheek. At least Chris picked that up. Cattle Sweetie makes a great point. There's never been a 0-0 between these sides since 1898. Spenny, were you there?
No, I was just ball by that day, I think.
Okay. Any green shoots of recovery here? I know it's 0-0, and I'm speaking as if we're 5-0 down, but it hasn't been a very good game. Is there any signs of improvement here, Spenny, or is it much of the same as the first half?
I think the only plus side is I think the defence is played all right.
Yeah, somebody made the point about Lascelles saying he's had a half decent game. I hope I haven't put the jinx on him.
Oh, that's just saying that. No, Torre is going to be a threat, like all the lads have been saying. He's kind of decent in the Borough. We should have got him, maybe. The chance.
We talked, didn't we, about there was so many rumours over the last few years about us getting Traore, and it never materialised, but we missed out on that big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paul Davison pointing out that Big Joe probably will be our first sub. We'll let you know if he starts warming up. Chris, your take on the 63.5 minutes that we've seen. Any change in this second half? Oh, he's done a Spenny. He hasn't come on.
I thought I was still needed. No, I think they're just going to play out 0-0 draw. I don't see them going for it. I feel like it's just not a capitulation, but sort of. I really do sense that the players are not playing for Bruce, and there's something going on behind the scenes. But nothing to do with takeover, but just sort of falling out with Bruce.
Yeah,
and this is sort of how they're demonstrating their dissatisfaction with Bruce by sort of not giving it all.
I've got to be perfectly honest. I think I would have more faith in the woman who's given the lesson in your flat today, Chris. Doing a team talk with Newcastle's team and Steve Bruce. Could you ask her if she'd be available next weekend?
I mean, that last one was twerking last night. No, that was twerking and he put last night.
That's for the X-rated version of NUFC matters. We'll go into that in more depth on the next worldwide show, Chris, with photographs. Thanks, Chris Hall. Moving on from the seedy life that other Chris leads. Go on, Chris. What's your take so far? We've got 35 minutes left on the clock.
Do you know what? Let's be honest. I don't think it's been as bad as previous games that I've been watching. All right, it's not great, and maybe our bar's been lowered ridiculously low. But at least, you know, we've had a couple of, I wouldn't even say half chances, but, you know, we've been getting further up the pitch. We're having a bit more possession. Obviously, I can just see now that I'm about to make 2 subs. You've probably already seen that. So, you know, let's not forget, a point away from home at Wolves. I think we'd have all took that at the start of the game. So let's hope, you know, for the next, 26, 27 minutes, we can hang on in there and maybe nick one. But yeah, we definitely need to make a change. I think it's time to, dare I say it, it's time to bring Big Joe on, or maybe Carroll, and you know, just try and mix it up a little bit. But if we carry on like this, you know, I wouldn't even say, you know, we've been under the cosh. It doesn't look to me like we have, and perhaps we're settling into it a bit more now. And Wolves are having to push forward a bit because you can tell that they want the win. Maybe that'll leave a bit more, you know, a few more gaps at the back. So. You know, get some fresh legs on, and let's see if we can push on and nick it.
Yeah, another shot by Wolves there. They're certainly getting their shot count up this second half, but it was from distance and didn't trouble Darlow at all. Ian Hutchinson says we can rely on Bruce, that if Darlow was to get injured, then he would bring Joe Linton on. And Paul says, I'm glad we brought young Murphy back into the fold. Has he impressed you lot? We'll come to that next after we've spoke to Pete about the second half. Any improvement, Pete, or are you still not happy?
Still not happy from an attacking point of view, but structurally we've been a little bit better defensively. We've limited them to a lot less chances. We look more organised at the back, so you know, hopefully that continues. Obviously, someone like Traore coming on will create his own problems in his pace and his power. So it's whether we're in position defensively, like the Lewis, for example, if he goes onto the right, is able to manage that. But we've had a couple of chances ourselves. The chance with Amir on, you know, for me, Wilson should have took that first time on his left foot. He shouldn't be looking to play that in when you've got a position in the box and you can turn and shoot. As a striker, that should be your first thought. But you know, Wolves don't look comfortable at the back, which I'm surprised about, because they're in defences where they're normally quite strong, but they don't look comfortable back there. And considering they've not had a lot to defend, says that there could be opportunities there. It wouldn't surprise me if Carroll comes on at some point to be that sort of battering ram around Wilson, because St. Maximin has not really been in the game second half, and 60 minutes on tends to tire anyway, and you don't tend to really see him much later on in the game. So I think it could well be that they look to bring Carroll on and play Wilson in and around him and hope for the best.
Okay, Pineapple asked, who do we think is better, ASM or Traore? The successful dribbles per 90, I think it was ASM on another one of those wonderful Sky facts that flashes up every now and then. I think ASM had just come out on top. Oh no, Traore had 6.4 as opposed to Alan St. Maximum 5.7. Wilfred Zaha in fourth, in third place, if anyone was particularly interested in that. Daz, 68 minutes on the clock. Has this improved or not? As a shot from Newcastle just goes painfully.
It hasn't changed an awful lot. Newcastle maybe a bit more of the ball. Yeah, it's kind of set up for either 0-0, or does anyone know a manager who tends to get lucky? We might get a bit of luck. But yeah, it's looking like a 0-0 at the moment. But the changes now, we'll see if it mixes it up a bit, and if we need to counter strike with bringing on something as well.
20 minutes to go plus stoppages. Nathan, anything improved for you in this half, or is it still the same old from Newcastle?
Same old, really. I think the ball's not sticking in the final third. It hasn't done all season for us, so nothing new there at all. Just a quick one on Traore and St. Maximin. I was talking to my friend about this yesterday, and I think out of those two, those are the only kind of two players in the league who are really natural and really sort of gifted at running at defenses and running at people and taking them on. I don't think it's helpful to like compare the two though, because they kind of both do different things. Like Traore is like raw power and pace, whereas St. Maximin's like a kind of tricky player who will kind of weave his way through a defense. But I think it's interesting that both these two players, who are probably the two best wingers in the league for me, both play for the teams that they play for, and not any of the kind of alleged top 6 clubs. In terms of where we go from here and how we change it, I'm not really sure where we do go from here, to be honest, because in recent weeks the way that Bruce has lined up is we've had usually Almiron or Fraser or one of the two, if not both of the two, on the bench, and we've kind of sat here around this time of the game and we've said, oh, we need to bring Almiron on, we need to bring Fraser on, that kind of thing. But they're all on the pitch now for us, all our kind of attacking, tricky, those kinds of creative players. They're all on the pitch for us now, and they're not doing it for us as it stands. So what do we do? Where do we go from here? I think Pete mentioned, do we bring Carroll on? I've got issues with Carroll like starting for us, but when he comes on at this stage of the game, he can have an effect, and he did have that effect when we played Tottenham, because we were very, very, very poor against Tottenham, albeit for the last like sort of 5-10 minutes, where things suddenly started to click for us when Carroll was up front and the ball was sticking a little bit more. So that might be an option to try and bring Wilson into the game a little bit towards the end. But first and foremost, we need to keep things tight. They've got a corner now, which is on its way in. Darlow gets rid of it, but we need to keep things tight, and then I think maybe throw the dice is to bring Carroll on, and just to hope that we can get a bit of luck with Wilson running off him for me.
Kind of been a bit of Geordie humour. Jasmine says, Sky are putting the World Origami Championships on pay-per-view. Yes, I see what you did there. Very, very good. And Stu followed that up with, didn't the Origami Championships end up folding? Very good. Yeah, it shows you how interesting this bloody game is. 72 minutes gone, and it's Wolves 0, Newcastle 0. Martin, question that was asked there about the old ASM Traore debate. Which is the better player in your mind?
I think ASM is definitely more tricky. I would say probably at the moment, probably Traore, from the fact he's probably got a better end result. He's probably not as tricky in that he doesn't go necessarily through the middle of the park as he's doing now. He tends to stick to this wing, but he'll burst like he's doing right now, pay it in. So I think his end game is a bit better. His end product is better than ASM at the moment. Albeit people know what he's doing. I think it's just a pure raw pace. Whereas ASM, I think, is a few teams seem to have started to find him out now, which is kind of doubled up defense on him, and he struggles to do anything with it, barring the odd flash. So I would say at the moment, Traore probably for me at the moment, just pure end product at the minute.
Yeah, I would agree. Spenny, Traore or ASM, better player?
I don't know. One's looks like he's on steroids, the other one's a dancer, isn't he? Looking at them both.
Yeah. Big lad, Traore, isn't he? Big lad.
I would nick at the Max because he's our player, isn't he? So I'm biased that way.
Okay, Chris. Anyway. All right, mate. You take care. Watch what you're doing. Keep fighting the COVID. Spenny, thanks for coming on, son.
Next week.
See you, Spenny.
Take care, mate. Chris, your take. He's done it again. He's on a hat trick. He hasn't unmuted the microphone.
I'm doing it for your enjoyment, because otherwise.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, well, yeah, true. Yeah. No worries, mate. Go on, mate. Go on.
Yeah. Just a total shambles. I'm already looking forward to the next match. I think all the players on the pitch are sort of not saying there's nothing to play for. I mean, to get a point would be decent, but I don't feel like there is any attack on the sort of like almost like a prevent defense in the NFL. Like, let's not concede, but let's not try to score.
Okay, mate. Pete, your views?
But in terms of the game, like I say, I'm not overly impressed. I'm surprised we've got to 75 minutes and it's still 0-0. At this point now, I'd gladly take a point and get out of there.
What about Traore and ESM, mate? What about Traore and ESM? Who wins? Who is the better player?
It's an easy one for me, and a lot of people might not agree, but I'll go ASM purely for the reason that Adama Traore's performing in a team that's finishing 7th in the league, predominantly attacking players, predominantly attacking most weeks, and have a more attacking mentality. So he's going to look good in a team that's constantly attacking. Now, ASM has managed to light up the Premier League, playing in an extremely defensive team with absolutely shocking statistics for attacking football. And so, therefore, for the fact that they're even being looked at in the same light or in the same quality and not playing in the same quality of team, for me, puts St. Maximin ahead of him. St. Maximin's only been, this is his second season in England, and they're already being looked at in comparisons. Adama Traore has been in the country for a lot longer now. Remember, he came in at Villa, he had stint, I think, at Middlesbrough, and then he's on to Wolves. So he's had time to perfect his game in England and to get used to what the game in this country is all about. So for me, for what that was a good save from Darlow. For what St. Maximin's done in just over a year's time, a year's period in this country, puts him ahead for me.
Okay, Kendall, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Good to see you. Your views on this feast of football.
Yeah, I was thinking when Traore came on, it was going to be a bit of a game over, and Bruce was going to make a random, like a change, like Joe Linton for Almiron or something, because obviously Almiron's got a yellow, hasn't he? So that's just a typical Bruce change. But no, nothing's happened yet. So
no, and you're watching the match with your granddad.
Yeah, my granddad. Yeah.
What's your granddad's view?
Steve says, "What's your view on the game?" Did you hear that?
Sounds like he's not very impressed.
He said, "Oh, don't put me on there because I'll swear."
It's okay. It's over 18s. Chris Hall, your views, mate, on ASM and Traore. It's for me. I think it's an easy answer. But are you going for the Newcastle man or the Wolves man?
Do you know what?
Oh my God, he's putting Joe Linton on.
Oh, dear.
Still coming on, big go.
Go for Fraser. There we go.
There we go.
Jesus Christ.
Well done, Kendall.
Game number 9.
Seriously,
Steve.
we're on for a point here. We're on for a point, and he throws Joe Linton on.
Big Joe looking great, wearing a snazzy pair of Puma gloves.
ASM off.
My granddad saying Joe Linton must be going with his wife or something. I don't even know what he was saying. Said he must be going with his wife.
It's definitely a strange set of substitutions that I'm still trying to work that out. To be perfectly honest, he's taken Fraser and St. Maximin off and putting Joe Linton on and Sean Longstaff on. Of course, we'll all be saying Bruce is a tactical genius if we get something out of this. Chris Hall, can you fathom that out, mate? What on earth are you doing there, as well as giving us your view on ASM and Traore?
Yeah, so on ASM and Traore, yeah, it's a tough one, and like Nathan was saying, it's difficult to compare them really. I can see why people do compare them. Obviously, dribbling wise, I understand that, but I mean, I always look back and think, would I swap one player for the other? And personally, I wouldn't swap Traore for St. Maximin. I wouldn't do it. I think Traore is a great player, and he's really strong. He's got a lot of qualities, and I think he'd be great in our team. And I think we missed a trick not getting him. And you don't end up in the Barcelona academy by accident, do you? So he's obviously got a lot about him. But I think the fact that he struggles sometimes to even get in the Wolves team, I think that speaks volumes. I mean, St. Maximin for ourselves as a starter every week, and I think if he was to leave Newcastle, He'd probably be a starter for most clubs if they signed him. So for me, I think Maxi just edges it. And Maxi only being 23 as well. I'm not quite sure how old Traore is, but I think he's a bit older than Maxi. So I think Maxi's got a bit more in his locker, but don't get me wrong, I really rate Traore as well. In terms of the match and those substitutions, I mean, I thought he might have bought
There you go.
God!
That was coming a mile away. Coming a mile off.
Wolves have scored a worldie, and it's all down to Joe Linton coming on. I've got to say it.
No.
Yeah.
Darlow couldn't have done absolutely
Nothing with that.
nothing. No need for a VAR check. That was just hit with that was hit the proverbial screamer. Absolutely brilliant goal. It has to be said by Raul, the number 9 for Wolves. It was a free kick.
Clearance is awful.
Free kick on the edge of the on the left hand side. It was a poor defensive header out, and it fell to Raul, and he hit it out. I'm not sure who it was with a header.
Wilson.
It was Callum Wilson.
Callum Wilson, yeah, it was. You're right. Callum Wilson with a header out. It was like a cushioned header as opposed to a defensive header.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defend, 5 players. Why is nobody just throwing a body in front of that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't get
Why
that.
was it up to Wilson to defend that as well? Do you know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be up to him to defend.
Disappointing that we've been joined by Sav as well. Sav, your take on that?
Oh, do you know what? You must be about a minute ahead of me because they hadn't scored when you said that they had. But it's just same old, isn't it, really? I actually thought, to be fair, we have actually attacked a little bit today, and that's the only positive that I can find from the whole thing.
Yeah, no problem. Jamie, the Manchester United fan who was with us last week, has popped on as a neutral. Jamie, give us your take on today's game. What have you made of it? I know you've been watching the game.
Yeah, I've been watching it. Obviously, I've just literally went out the room there. I've come back and it's 1-0, so not good. But to be honest, I think it's been coming. Like, I think Wolves have been the better team. They look really well organised going forward. I know we had a big debate last week about Bruce and all that, and you all sort of come back to me, but I can get where you're coming from. Like, I watched the Monday night show as well with the girls. I know 2 of them are here, and like, I know they're not fans of Bruce as well, but there's just no cohesion at all in the team, is there? He's got so many attacking players, yet they don't look like they can attack. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, crazy times at Newcastle at the minute. Nathan, that was coming, mate, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've been letting him onto us the entire game pretty much, and I was going to say the next time you came to me before that goal came in that we defended quite well. Like, that's about the only thing that we've done well today, I feel like. But then I noticed in the last few minutes we're getting a little bit sloppy. They were having a bit of a lot of freedom to like kind of stroke the ball around at the edge of our area, kind of thing. And yeah, that pressure builds over time. And it was, I mean, there's nothing we can do about that. It's great strike, great goal from the lad, but. Yeah, it just, I think Joe Linton was marking the lad for as the corner came in and stuff, and it's just sloppy all around, really, isn't it? No one was out to him. You see teams that are, we're going to be fighting for our lives this season. It looks like, and that's why you want to be seeing people just like Martin said, just throwing themselves at the ball and throwing themselves in front of it and getting something in the way of it. Because we've been undone by a few of those like great strikes this season, and it does seem like we're just not at the. We're just not at it in terms of like up for a fight and up for a battle and putting ourselves on the line. It looks like, and it's really that's kind of the bare minimum that you want to expect from a team, isn't it?
Yeah, Andy Gibson, I think you've nailed it there, mate. Glad they scored. At least all that standing back, letting them try, didn't go to waste. I think you're right, mate. It's awful. Doug Hall says Wolves' tails were up, taking ASM off. Bruce, another player, Bruce. Isn't that Rafa's former assistant in the Wolves dugout? It is, mate. You are right. Let's hope we don't get more goals for Wolves. No one is playing for the shirt. It's so disappointing, says Pineapple. Should not have taken those players off. It unbalances the team, says Daniel Kane. The goal, Jimenez's goal, just getting replayed on Sky, and it was a hell of a hit. It bounced actually twice, and as Martin quite rightly pointed out, the players all just stood in a huddle, Darlow, somebody pointed out in the chat, probably went with it with his wrong hand, but it was such an instinctive hit by Raul Jimenez that he didn't really stand a chance. He could have had all three of our goalkeepers in goal, and that would have still gone in. Daz, this has had an inevitability written all over it. I think when we looked at those stats at half time, which said that Wolves, have been the one team at 0-0 that always comes through and wins the game. I think we knew the writing was on the wall.
Yeah, we kind of knew this was coming. Like we tipped them to either be a draw or for Wolves to win most of us today. But I wonder now, could Bruce look at bring on the likes of Carl or something, just go a long ball, route one at this stage, just to try and nick something. Just switch it up again some way.
Yeah, possibly, but time is running out. 85 minutes on the clock plus whatever stoppages the referee chooses to add. Newcastle have got the ball now, and it's a long ball in by Lewis. Nobody in the middle, comes out to the right-hand side. Ball crossed in again, but no, it's a game of ping-pong, really. Joe Linton's got the ball now on the far side. Lewis takes the ball off him, which is probably wise. Wolves, though, doing what Newcastle don't do, and that's hurry and try and close down the person with the ball and just spraying the ball into the box. And Wolves, again, it makes it so easy, safely back into the hands of the Wolves goalkeeper. As Joe gives a thumbs up, God knows who he's giving a thumbs up to. I hope it's not Steve Bruce. Martin, going into the last few minutes then, is there a chance of getting something out of this game?
I don't think so now at this stage. I think that definitely, when he put Joelinton and stuff on, and Longstaff, I think he was looking to maybe lock it down at 0-0. The defending for the goal for me is disappointing. The fact that nobody's willing to lay a body on the line. And I think you made the point there, Steve, and you said the ball bounced twice. How's the ball bouncing twice on the edge of our box and we're not getting to it? So it's not good enough again for me. I don't think there's unless Brucey's luck comes in again, I can't see us getting anything out of this at the minute, but it's not been great. Formation hasn't really worked for me. And no, as Chris, both the Chris have said, no real cohesion for 87 minutes so far.
Okay, Chris, your take is there anything coming out of this game? We've got a free kick on the edge of the box after Cody's rash challenge on Wilson.
It would take a miracle. I think. I just don't see. This is a really dispiriting game. I mean, if you take this with the Man United game, it just feels like the team has just turned the corner, or just not given up, but it's sort of. Oh, here we go. Here comes Andy
Jamal
Carroll.
Lascelles off. Andy Carroll coming on for the free kick. Nathan, can we get anything out of this, or is it gone past that point?
I mean, yeah, it's pleasing to see us taking a defender off to bring an attacker on. I don't think he's done that all season when we played 5 at the back and we've been chasing the game. So I guess it's a somewhat positive change. Those changes earlier on took out all the shape for me. When St. Maximin's not on the pitch, we don't look like we've got any options. We don't look like we've got anyone to drag us up the pitch. Hopefully we can get something here. It's probably going to be our best chance of, the remainder of the couple of minutes.
Free kicks taken.
Yes!
Oh!
Yes!
Get in!
Yeah, that is our best chance, I reckon.
You got a rattle, Steve.
You got it?
They still haven't even scored on my TV.
No, I don't even know.
Mine either.
I think
Don't tell us what happened.
Everyone else and none of you shouted after. I thought it's missed. I thought it's not gone in.
Jacob Murphy took the free kick, bent it round the wall, and straight into the bottom corner. That was a brilliant goal.
I thought Murphy's probably been one of the better players on the pitch today for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my accumulator had it.
I agree.
Oh, what a goal.
I agree.
Welcome back, Jamie.
That about Murphy. I don't know who said that about Murphy, but 100%. Murphy
had Wolves and Arsenal on the double.
Well on the right-hand side today.
Wolves 1, Newcastle United 1, 89 minutes on the clock. Daz, you're always the optimist on these shows. That was a great goal.
Yeah, it was lovely. I saw it about 40 seconds after ye because I'm on the Sky Go. But yeah, no, just seeing the replay now again. The way he just bends around the wall and near post, that the keeper just Doesn't get to it. Yep, lovely, delighted. Hopefully now we can maintain 1-0.
Yeah. 1-1 was my prediction at the start of the game, and I didn't see it coming. I've got to be honest after the way we've played, but I'll take it. Kendall, were you jumping around the room with your granddad? Kendall? Oh, you got a bad reception.
I celebrated so hard that my stream went funny.
Oh, right, okay.
Can you hear us now?
We can still hear you. Yeah, we can hear you. Go on.
Oh, my stream's gone funny all done.
No worries, Jamie. As the neutral fan who joined with for the last 15 minutes, it was a good goal, wasn't it, by Murphy?
Yeah, really good goal. I couldn't see it coming, to be honest. I thought I did feel for you today. I fancied Wolves big style. I don't know if you heard me a minute ago, but I actually had a double on today, Wolves and Arsenal. I just couldn't see Newcastle getting anything out of this. But when I seen the lineup, I was a bit more optimistic, but it's just not really went to plan. But I tell you what, if you come away with a point here, that's a great result. Because they've been a good team. They're a really good team, Wolves, and they're hard to beat, specifically at Molineux. So if you just come away with a point there, you've got to be delighted because the performance hasn't been great, has it?
No, you're right. Sav, got to be happy with this. Hopefully with just 2 minutes of the 3 added left, we can hold on.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'd be happy with a point because some of our players actually been quite shocking today. So it's one of those typical Newcastle, steal a point. And I'd take that, to be fair.
Yeah, Chris, you did call 1-1. You are right. I've just seen your message there in the chat. Chris Hall, we got out of jail, I think. Bruce's luck and that 4-leaf clover in his pocket is still intact.
Yeah, it's staying like nobody, isn't it? We shouldn't be getting a point today. I mean, going back to what we were saying before, it's another. I've seen the replays now a few times. Darlow for me should have saved that. I appreciate, Jimenez is it lovely, but he's gone with the wrong hand, simple as. But it looks like Rui Patriccio's had a bad one as well because he got a hand to it and he's let it in. But yeah, really, really good points. But again, it sounds horrible to say, doesn't it? But again, we're getting lucky. We've nicked a point. I'm made up with the point. Don't get me wrong, but again, Bruce is gonna get the plaudits for this. And we're going to go, cracking points away at Wolves. It is a really good point away at Wolves, but the actual performance itself is just, it's nothing, is it? It's been really disappointing.
Yeah, papers over the crack, says Tom Lynch. Would you agree, Pete?
Yeah, 100%. We haven't looked like even scoring a goal, let alone potentially getting a point, even though it's been 0-0 for long periods. The Wolves goal was always going to come at some point. The thing that frustrates me about that though is once they scored, we then kind of controlled the game. We had the ball, they were sitting on their 18-yard box, and we were trying to play in and around them and forcing them backwards. And it just begs the question: why is that not happening for the other 80-odd minutes of the game? It's like, and then obviously, from that, it all comes from it. You just ask yourself, why is it takes us to go down for us to then start to control the game and force the opposition backwards? It's so frustrating, but it's really nice to see Murphy score because we all had question marks about us not playing with the right back and him playing on the right hand side. And he's effectively got the point.
Ben says Sav brought the luck. Full time at Molineux, and it's Wolves 1, Newcastle United 1. Great defending by Miggy, says Jasmine Black. Laura says agreed. It's like they're on the starting blocks till they go a goal down. But 1-1. Both goalkeepers probably could have got their hands and saved those chances. And 0-0 was probably a fairer result, I would have said. But look, Wolves were the better team for me. Probably deserved to come away with the points. But we're happy with that. We're happy with the point. And Bruce lives to fight another day. Alex Hall says he feels sorry for Callum Wilson, literally having nothing around him. We will get found out soon, and we need a better manager. Tom Lynch says I'll take a point, but I'm far from happy with it. And John Justice Allen says well done, Miggy. Paul Davison says, I know ASM likes the 10 spot, but we need to play him wide with Miggy in the 10. Most people happy with a point, but most people also saying that Bruce should still be sacked. So, Martin, give us your views on what you've watched today, please.
I'd say probably the first 87 minutes, not great. There were, again, the plan and the change from Bruce, for me, for the first 85, 86 minutes, didn't work. Wolves scored. I question, is Darlow fully fit? I know they said he passed the fitness test, but he didn't. Even when he went, I think Chris Hall made the point, he went maybe wrong-handed with the save. But when he kind of came down, he was going kind of pulling towards the shoulder. So I just wonder, is he not fully fit? He didn't look it to me. Murphy's free kick, great curl. I thought the young lad did really well tonight. I thought he was probably our best player on the park for me. Bruce rides his luck yet again, but I think, we've seen it in the comments. Doesn't paper over the, doesn't solve anything. It does paper over the cracks until another week. But great point against a very good team, but still problems in the camp for me.
Yeah, Steve Four-Leaf Clover, Bruce, a point is a point, though. Chris, your views and assessment on the game today, please.
Yeah, I said 1-1, but that wasn't really how I drew it up when I predicted it. I would certainly say your comment that both goalkeepers were lucky or deserved to get something out of it. Seeing as that they both led in goals that maybe they could have stopped. So, yeah, I mean, it does seem like Steve Bruce comes up lucky in games that he doesn't deserve to win or to get a result. He gets a result. So, but I can't say that's out of any skill or preparation, but more out of dumb luck. So, we'll take the point. Press on. We certainly don't have an easy schedule, and it only gets worse come December and the festive period. So we'll take all the points we can get for now.
Yeah, I'd agree on that at least. Nathan, give us your views on today's game.
Yeah, I think we got off the hook quite lightly today. Before the game, we gave Wolves a lot of plaudits for how they approach the game, how they play, how many good individuals they've got, what they're capable of doing. I don't think they turned up today. Really, I don't think they were very good at all. They were better than us. That goes without saying. But I think they were. They didn't play in. They didn't get out of second gear today. But luckily we didn't kind of let them in. Very early on in the game, like we have done in previous games. So I think we got off quite lightly. I think Wolves could have put in a better performance, and I think they'd have turned us over today if they had done. So I think in that respect, it's a bit of a smash and grab that we've managed to nick a goal and get out of there with a 1-1. I think I'd have been happy at 0-0. 0-0 would have been a great result for us, because I don't think they were very good at all today, but we were dreadful. I mean, I can't think of linking more than one or two passes together. The only sort of moment of the only good moment really was the ball from Murphy down the right hand side where he played Callum Wilson. I think that was our only sort of good play, and it was just a bit of something out of nothing really. So yeah, very disappointing. It's really disappointing to see that we don't have any ideas and any kind of patterns of play going forward. And I think it's very lucky. But I'd have been happy with that point before the game.
I love Nicholas's comment. Bruce's fortune cookie tonight. Luck is with you, Chancer. Take the wage for now. Yeah, very, very good that, mate. James says all those attack-minded players on the pitch, and Bruce still manages to make us look rubbish. Very good point. Daz, I've noticed your background's changed, and now you've gone under Chris's favourite logo.
Yeah, no, yeah, I stole that one on you, Chris. But that was for your Tiori ASM question, and that was my answer. ASM all day long.
Very good.
And I got rid of the Mickey Mouse ears, Julie. The other thing, someone mentioned papering over the cracks. Look, the club has been crumbling for I don't know how long, especially over the last 2 years. So papering over the cracks, I don't know. But I had this down as a defeat. So I'm delighted with the draw, but it was no way pretty. It only got pretty when Jamie arrived on the stream with us. That's all I say.
Brilliant. In fact, Chris, if you stay there, Chris, I've got you just in the middle. Hey, that's good, Chris. You've got out of the logo, but you can't get away from the pie, mate. You cannot get away from the pie. Jamie, your views, mate, on this as a neutral supporter. Newcastle got out of jail there, mate.
Oh, he's done a spenny.
Oh, he's done a spenny.
Now he's official. Now he's official.
He's muted. He's muted. There you go, Jamie. Go on, Jamie. What was your take? Sorry, we missed what you said.
I've been watching the whole stream since you went live, and you've been having some good debate. I see a comment, someone saying that this has been more entertaining than the game. I'd probably give you that. To be fair, it's been good crack, but and I'm no Spenny. He's in a league of his own, him. But obviously brilliant for Newcastle to get a point there. I thought you tactically looked all over the place. I know I messaged Martin at halftime on WhatsApp and says you just look shambles in the midfield. So to feel like he's got it together a little bit in the second half there, and I can't remember who said it a minute ago, but it was like he's woke up when Wolves scored. So as I say, I'm always back in Newcastle when the Reds ain't playing. So I'm delighted you got a result there, especially at Molineux. It's a tough place to go. That.
Okay, Sav, give us your views on the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was just typical, wasn't it? When I saw the lineup, I actually had a little bit of hope. I think Murphy, credit where credit's due, actually played quite well, and I think he does deserve a chance, going forward. But I mean, did you see the interview with Jamal Lascelles this morning? He just looked deflated, and the problem is, if he's turned up like that, then we just play like that. It's really frustrating to see. We had all our attacking players on. Yeah, we didn't really attack. We just sat back and defended. So, it is frustrating. I'm happy we got a point because I think we're going to need every little steal of a point that we can get. But it's just, it is what it is, isn't it? We're not going to improve until Steve Bruce goes.
Yeah. Chris Hall.
Yeah, similar to what everyone's been saying, really. I mean, a point's a great result away to Wolves for any club, really. So we should be really pleased with that. Did we deserve it? No. Am I looking forward to the next game? Obviously, seeing all you, I am looking forward to that. But in terms of actually watching the match, hopefully he sticks with this formation. All right, it wasn't great today, but was it better than what I've seen previously? Arguably, yeah. And hopefully, we can improve, game on game. And if this is the way that we go forward, then so be it. I mean, the big thing for us this season, I think we'll all agree, we just want to get to 40 points. Let's just get to 40 points, and hopefully, good times are on the way, probably next season. So yeah, I mean, delighted with the point, but we stole it. We didn't play well, but yeah, more than happy with it. And let's take it and go to the next one.
Okay, Pete, your views on the game that you've watched today?
Not a good performance overall, certainly from an attacking point of view. But look, I'll take the point all day long. If you'd asked me, would I take the point before the game? I'd have said, hell yeah, I'd have took the point, and I'd rather have taken my 90 minutes and just us have a chat about Newcastle in general rather than watch that. But look, we got the point. We have to be pleased with that, regardless of the performance. We've got, I think, an Everton coming to the next, from my thinking, who were on the receiving end of a bit of a beating today from Southampton. So we should go in with that with a little bit more confidence that they're not flying as high as they were. So there's certain positives. The man on site at the moment who's having this interview, Jacob Murphy, is certainly the positive that comes out of the game today. I thought, as I said before about the fact that we had two right backs on the bench and he was playing right wing back. I thought he was one of our better players. I thought he played really, really well today. He was the only one got the ball and wanted to run at their players and commit their players going backwards. And it was obvious to see in the second half is the only time we looked even 10% dangerous was from him on the right hand side of the pitch. So fair play to him. He deserved that goal for the way to work. His defensive work is underrated as well. I thought defensively he was very good. I mean, they didn't get a lot of change down our right hand side. So, positives there. ASM needs to up his game. He can't have games like that, and they happen a little bit too often for my liking. Games where he just drifts. When you get to 60 minutes, he starts to slow down, and you don't see the same ASM. He gets tired very, very quickly because of how dynamic he is. But look, as I said, we got the point. We go out there. It's a place to go, by the way. We get a point, and then we move on.
Okay, I'm going to ask you one more question, guys and girls, before we ask for your man of the match. A lot of people in the chat saying that it looks as if the players are disheartened. It looks as if some of the players aren't playing with a smile on their face. Almiron's obviously been pointed out. Rumors suggesting that maybe Shelby's not mentally right, as opposed to being, injured and carrying an injury. I always say when these kind of things start to circulate that there's no smoke without fire. Martin, do you think Steve Bruce is beginning to lose the dressing room, or do you think he's lost the dressing room?
Funnily, myself and Nathan were kind of texting there. I think it was the back end of last week. And we were talking about this, and I said about a week ago, I think there's been a little bit of a revolt. To me, the first half of the game, well, probably the first 80 minutes of the game, when we were talking about what did we think we'd get out of it, I was actually going to say at the stage that it was like an end of season game. It's like they were just playing out the game to get to their summer holidays. We didn't seem to be bothered about it. There's definitely something. I don't know whether maybe there's issues with Shelby. Maybe that's causing problems in the camp. But there's something else not 100% right with those players, because Jacob Murphy's just done his interview there, and he said, we set up all of our attacking players today, but it just didn't work for us. Wolves didn't really let us get up the field. And I kind of listened to that and I thought, well, we did have chances to get up the field, but we didn't have the cohesion to string two passes together. So there's something not right. Has he lost the dressing room fully? I don't think so fully. I think he's probably got his supporters, i.e. Lascelles. But I don't think he's got every player. Maybe a Wilson, maybe Fraser, but there's definitely not 100% support there for him, I think.
Okay, Nathan, your views? Do you think that Bruce has lost the dressing room?
I saw a little something towards the end of the game there after we equalised and after Wolves went forward and they had a bit of an attack. There was a moment where it panned to Bruce, and like for the first time ever, I saw him kind of like shouting and making gestures to the team and doing that kind of thing. And then the camera panned back onto like the over the pitch view. And it was clear at that point that he was talking to Hendrick, who'd been like kind of defending at that moment in time. And Hendrick was like going like shouting and looked like he was sort of shouting and swearing back at him. And Hendrick turned to carry on running forward, and he ran away. He was like shaking his head and looked like he was like saying something, like muttering something to himself. So I don't know. I think a lot of these players now, they're not daft, and they'll find out. They've found out by this point that if we're sat here thinking that Steve Bruce doesn't know what he's doing, then they certainly know, don't they? They know what he is. They know how he is day-to-day around the club. They know how they've been asked to play in a certain way. They know if there's anything. They'll be constantly comparing him to previous managers that they've had, and probably a lot of them have found him wanting in a lot of areas, aren't they? Probably. So I think it's difficult to have that kind of respect and that. That kind of respect for your manager when you know that he's probably not very good, and you've worked with different players in the past. A lot of these players, they prefer working under Steve Bruce, but I think because I think that was probably because of the disciplinarian approach that Rafa had and that kind of strictness. But I think now it is somewhat falling apart a lot, and I think that the players don't seem to have any clue on the pitch, and the players are getting pelts for it as much as the manager is a lot of the time. So. I don't think they'll be enjoying it either too much. Okay,
Daz, your views, mate?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's lost the dressing room. And I'm surprised it's taken this long after the likes of Rafa. But if he has, what else has he got going for him then? He's the kind of have a joke with the players, kind of a manager. So if he has, his days are numbered in many ways. But it boils down to Ashley. Unless Ashley makes a decision, and I can't see him doing it, we're stuck with him until we have a takeover.
Okay, Pete, do you think that could be the issue, that the players, are a bit sick and tired of Bruce's inability to coach?
I think there's been some form of falling out. I think that's obvious. I think there's some of the players that you look at just in general that just don't seem overly happy. Mankilio, for example, all of a sudden pulled out the team. Nobody knows why. Almiron, not even in the starting lineup, only until today. You got the issue that you mentioned about potentially with Shelby not being mentally right. That could be part of the reason. Lascelles not looking the same player. Could well be a reason. You're looking at Wilson and how in his frustrations recently, with how the team's been set up and how they're playing. All of these things that we're seeing, just as fans, noticing these changes that are kind of out the blue, starts to get you thinking, well, maybe there is something not right. It's clear to see. I go back to when we were doing the Tottenham game, and you look at the players, and they look absolutely pissed off, cheesed off with the style of play, with the system, with the formation. Wilson was just absolutely I've never seen him so frustrated since I've been watching him play. And he just looked like he didn't want to be there. And the guy's only been here a matter of weeks, and that's how he was feeling. That all pinpoints to me that they're not happy with how things are being done. And that pulls back to me with regards to the manager. The manager doesn't manage the players. He doesn't manage the system. He doesn't manage the tactics in game. It's all done within the players. They're walking off the pitch with a point today. That's not anything to do with Steve Bruce. That's to do with the players managing to pull out a moment of magic in Jacob Murphy to get us a point. And that's we're frustrated with Steve Bruce. We talk about it all the time. The fact that his lack of tactical knowledge, the fact that he doesn't manage the players on the pitch during the game, and a number of other things as well. Those players will see that every day on the training ground. And if they see that on the training ground, we look at Bournemouth, yes, they got relegated. We look at, one or two other clubs that we've signed players from. But I can tell you something, that tactically and structurally, they would have been organised a hell of a lot better on the training ground and in-game compared to what they're seeing at Newcastle.
Okay, Chris, your views, mate, please, on whether you think that the dressing room's been lost by the manager.
Oh, absolutely. But without a shadow of a doubt, as Gibbo likes to say. I just feel that I think it's sort of between sort of the anxieties of sort of takeover stuff and knowing that most of those guys would be cleaned out. And this also, being in a Premier League side, but just not feeling like they're in a Premier League side that has the ambition. I mean, they know what they signed up for, and obviously they made some good additions with Wilson and Fraser. But I sort of have to wonder what Wilson and Fraser think, sort of behind the scenes. Like you can tell sometimes Wilson out there on the pitch just feels like, he's putting in a shift and just doesn't have the players around him or just the tactics and strategy to really push on and show ambition and challenge for solidly mid-table, solidly challenging for top 10 squad, which is what we all think they should be. We don't think that this is a pushing for Europe type squad, but they have some of the key players, and like people have said, if you look at our attacking front four, you could put those against a lot of other squads. It's just, but the attacking front four is nothing if you just don't have tactics and strategy to play with the rest of the squad. And I feel like that's where Steve Bruce is lacking. And I don't see them pushing up. As long as Steve Bruce is there, he's the one that's ultimately holding them back just as much as Ashley.
Okay, Jamie, what's your take? Does it appear to you that that we've lost the dressing room? That Steve Bruce has lost the dressing room?
Supporter, I've been sort of like trying to work out why he's what he's doing in training. I know you say is it Agu?
Yeah.
Is that his assistant? Steve Agu? If he's making the decisions, he's just as clueless as Bruce, because if whoever's making the decisions, they just don't look like a team. Obviously, when I come on last week, I've paid a bit more attention to Newcastle over the week. I've listened to your podcasts midweek, Steve, and got everybody's view on it, and I can see what you mean. Like, so they just don't look like a team. They're not playing for each other. The formation's all over the place. Wilson looked completely lost. I think Maximum is a good player in a bad team at the moment. But if you put Hayden and Shelby in that midfield, I feel like you've got a little bit more of a base to build on. But I know you sort of hit the question at me last week, Steve, about Pogba. I feel Shelby's that same sort of, I wouldn't call him a parasite, but it's like if he doesn't want to play, his head's down, and you might as well have him on the bench. He's more useful on the bench. But I'm not sure he's lost the dressing room. I think certain players need time to settle at the club, particularly Fraser and maybe Lewis. I didn't think he had the best game today. But I wouldn't say he's lost the dressing room. Maybe you will disagree, but from a neutral looking into it, I don't think that's the case. I just think necessarily the quality is not there in the right areas. And I suppose when you look at it, maybe it's down to the transfer window. I says he's had a good window last week, but looking at that today, none of the new signings really impressed me, bar Wilson. But I suppose it's a good point, ain't it? And all yous will be delighted with that. It's something to build on, I suppose. But it's like you say, that I've been watching the show for the whole afternoon, so I've been hearing what yous have been saying, and I think there's a little bit of negativity. I think everybody just needs a boost with this takeover. Hopefully that's going to come for you at Christmas, and you can get a little bit more structure in the team. But what I will say, I'm not going to chat too much longer, but I would put Hayden in as the captain. I know I sent you a DM on Twitter, Steve. I think Hayden's a natural leader. Every time I see him play, he looks a solid player that gives 100%. But and based on the manager, I think Pearson would give some of these a rocket, and I think that's
Yeah, okay, great to have you on, Jamie. Thanks for offering to come on and give your views. It's always nice to hear someone's views from who hasn't got a connection with the club, and put a little bit of common sense in as well. Sav, your views. Do you think he's lost the dressing room?
I think the biggest problem with Steve Bruce is he wants to be everyone's friend, which will work well whilst you're everyone's friend. But when fallouts start to happen, that's when you start to lose control. And this is the biggest thing that I see, like Miggy. He wasn't smiling today. He hasn't been being started. There's no hierarchy in the team whatsoever because, Steve Bruce, if you're everyone's friend, then you're not in charge. And you see it with the likes of Lascelles, who's supposed to be our captain, who's sitting there being interviewed, looking like he's depressed. It looks to me like there is something slightly going on in the background that's upsetting people. You just don't see the happiness and the drive and anything. Like sometimes we go out there and we just turn up like we've walked off the bus and we're willing to lose. We're just waiting for it. And that's not, that to me doesn't look like a side that's happy.
Yep, okay. Chris Hall, finally with you, mate. Just give us your take. Do you think Steve Bruce has lost the dressing room?
I wouldn't say. Well, it doesn't appear to me that he's lost it, but it's showing signs that potentially he could be losing it, so to speak. And I wonder whether it's the new signings, because like a few of us have already said, Hendrick's been played out of position. We've spotted that. We know that. The players are going to be fully aware of that. Miggy's come back from international duty. He's not come straight back in the team. He's obviously unhappy about that. I think St. Maximin's probably just happy in the sense he's got his new contract. So I think he's probably, happy as he is. But, Ryan Fraser, again, played fantastically on internationals. You see clearly fit. You need, in order to improve your match fitness, you need matches. So I'm wondering whether there's, a bit of bad blood there, and perhaps, Wilson, really good friends with Fraser, having been at Bournemouth with him. Maybe Wilson's, getting fed up, and maybe there's new voices in the dressing room who are speaking out, and perhaps a few of the, the more senior players aren't happy, in terms of, Cavill's not getting a game. Shelby might have spat his dummy out. Lascelles might feel like he's losing the dressing room. You've got Richie there, who's a really powerful voice and a really, big character. He's not getting a look in. A certain players saying, why is he not playing? Why is he not getting looked at? And maybe Bruce, as Sav said, maybe Bruce trying to get on with everybody is, questioning, being questioned. And he's just going, oh, everything's okay. And maybe the players are thinking, it's not though, is it? And they must know, a lot of these players will go on social media. I'm not saying they watch our channel. It'd be great if they did. But, these players won't be blind or oblivious to the fact that Newcastle fans aren't happy. So, maybe it's the rumbling. Perhaps Steve Bruce's, this is me picking things together again like we did with DeMarco's posts. Maybe Steve Bruce saying, he's not going to be here much longer. Maybe it's, he's hearing, the rumours from maybe the players, the dressing room. Maybe, the fans' views are getting out there, and maybe, he feels like he's, going to get knocked off his pitch sooner or later. I don't know. But it's they're not happy.
Okay, Chris Hall, man of the match today, please.
Hand on heart, Steve, I genuinely was going to say Murphy even before the goal. At one point, I had to actually look closer at the screen because I think Murphy picked the ball up in the middle and took on a few players, and I thought it was St. Maximin, and I thought, no, that he's gone off. It's not St. Maximin, it's Murphy. So I thought Murphy was really positive today. Before the Wolves goal, I think Darlow was challenging him. I thought Darlow looked really solid, albeit everyone makes a mistake. But, there wasn't anyone outstanding today. But I think, the best of a pretty bad bunch was definitely Murphy. And I'm delighted for him. He's a Newcastle supporter. And, I'm sure that goal will do his confidence the world of good. So, yeah, I'm Murphy.
Yeah, okay. Sav, man of the match, please.
I 100% agree with Murphy. I think that, I looked at him today and I was like, why haven't we been starting him before? Because actually, he was one of our stronger players. Well, in my opinion, our strongest player out there. Darlow, he always puts in a shift, and he did quite well. I think he was unlucky with the goal. But no, overall, I'd say Murphy. Okay, Jamie.
Yeah, same for me. I thought there wasn't many good performances out there today, was there? But I think Matt, the free kick that got you the point was a great finish, and I think he generally just worked hard when he didn't have the ball. So I haven't seen much of that Murphy boy, but he looks like he's got his attitude in the right place, and he's got his head down and grafted for the team today. So and he deserved his goal for his individual performance. So yeah, I would go Murphy as well.
Okay, Chris.
Yeah, Murphy, without a shadow of a doubt. There wasn't a lot of encouraging things from the first half up to the substitutions, bringing on Joe Linton and stuff. But they salvaged a point, and points are what we need. And well played to bend it like Murphy.
Okay, Pete, your man of the match, please.
For me, Jacob Murphy. An honourable mention to Federico Fernandez. Did really well at the back, won everything, commanded the area. He basically organised the defence, and it really should be in Lascelles, but he organised the defence back there and made it very difficult. But Jacob Murphy down that right hand side, a constant menace, always pushing his wingers and fullbacks the other way, and then got the fantastic free. Jacob Murphy, definitely.
Okay, Daz, man of the match.
I'm going to go for the man that went to Sheffield Wednesday as part of the deal to bring our saviour, Steve Bruce, to us. Sheffield Wednesday got the better end of the deal on that occasion for the loan. But yeah, Jacob Murphy for me. He was played out of position. He did a job for us, and nice to see him getting back into the team. And as the lads mentioned, he's a supporter. So, Jacob for me.
Okay, same question to you, Nathan.
Yeah, like Chris said, I was going to mention before the free kick, I would have had to give it to Murphy today as well. And even after the free kick, obviously, definitely him. I was made up for him really because I think that we've seen him play a few really good games this season, mainly in the cup. And I felt like he's been a bit unfortunate given the performance of some of the first team players that he's not managed to make a way into that first team, having played so well in some of the cup games. So yeah, I was made up for him today, even though he wasn't in his natural position. I thought he did very well. We've seen, far more capable players move into different positions and not be able to do it on other days. So the fact that he did it today was really pleasing and made up for him to get the goal. I thought for Wolves that Podence, who was like front left for them, he was a handful today. He was really good. He was involved in everything good that they did. But Murphy kept him somewhat under wraps today, and he won't go against many better sort of forward players if he continues to play that position. So yeah, Murphy for me.
Okay, yes, Agraz, it was a good goal by Raul Jimenez if you're a Wolves fan. It certainly was. Martin, your man of the match, please.
Yeah, same as everybody. I think Jacob Murphy played well out of position, took his goal well. And I think the thing for me with Murphy above all the other players is every time he got the ball, he looked forward. He didn't look sideways, didn't look back. He looked to move forward. So for those three reasons, he gets my man of the match
as always,
today.
guys and girls, been a great show. Always good to have you on. We are back tomorrow night, as always, at 7:30 on a Monday for Ladies' Night. Join me, Sav, Katie, Samantha, and Kendall as we look back on today's game and look ahead to next week's fixture, which sees Newcastle United once again playing live on Sky on Sunday, 2 o'clock kickoff, slightly earlier kickoff time. We'll be starting match day live next Sunday at 1:30. And don't forget, we have a full week of shows. As always, slight changes this week. Liam Kennedy will still be on Tuesday. We will have the retro show this week will be on Wednesday. And Thursday we will have Supermac and John Gibson. Gibbo getting married on Wednesday, of course. So Malcolm will be attending a socially distanced wedding, and we'll wish John all the best. And then Friday we'll be back for the Three Amigos. But 1-1 it finished at Molineux today. A point, probably hard earned, it we'll have to say, but for us, just a point, and it's another point towards that 40-point total that Newcastle are obviously aiming for this season. But for me and the panel, take care. Good to see you all, and we'll see you during the week. Take care. Good night.
Bye.
Cheers, guys. Good luck.
Yeah.